Chapter 36:19. Divine Might Unrivaled. The world trembled, and the special spacetime where the three rulers were located began to shake wildly, as though it would collapse at any moment. What's going on? The three rulers, who were chatting leisurely, all had solemn looks on their faces. Such a huge commotion. Could it be? Taoist Shen God glanced at the temporal temple master and the heaven ancestor, only to discover that the latter two were just like him, and their eyes were filled with a hint of excitement. Let's go out and take a look. The three rulers immediately moved out of spacetime, arriving in the void outside the Star Palace. As soon as they left, they immediately sensed the source of that enormous disturbance. As expected, this disturbance came from the place where that little fellow lived. Taoist Shen God was incomparably excited. Haha, it seems that little fellow has finally made a breakthrough. The temporal temple master was overjoyed as well. They all understood that it was impossible for such a disturbance to appear within the Star Palace for no reason. Without a doubt, it was definitely caused by humans. Under normal circumstances, when a cultivator's strength reached a certain level, their breakthrough would cause some sort of disturbance. Moreover, the higher the level of the breakthrough, the more heaven-defying the cultivator would be, the disturbance that would be caused would also be greater. An ordinary immortal saint breaking through to become a principal's master would also cause some commotion. However, the commotion was not very big and would not attract the attention of the three rulers. The key point was that the commotion that was spreading out at this moment, it was so huge that it caused an uproar in the entire Star Palace. In addition, the source of the commotion was where Jianghu lived. Therefore, there was no doubt that Jianghu had broken through. This little guy did not disappoint us. He broke through to become a principal's master so quickly. What a big commotion. When I broke through from a principal's master to a ruler, the commotion I caused was not as big as his, the heaven ancestor said with a smile. Not good. Taoist Shen God's expression suddenly changed. It's a good thing that the little guy made a breakthrough, but we didn't expect him to cause such a big commotion. We didn't hide anything for him. There are so many cultivators in Star Palace, so they must have known that he made a breakthrough at the first moment. I'm afraid this news can't be hidden. Soon all the forces in this territory will know, and so will Sacred Island. If you know, then so be it. The temporal temple master waved his hand. Since this little fellow has already broken through, unless he doesn't use his full strength or doesn't meet with a ruler realm expert, he will definitely be exposed. We can't hide it even if we want to. We might as well let the world know. It's not a big deal. Even if that devil Cloud Star Master gets the news, he probably won't be too alert. Yes, Xianyi had reached the level of Principal's Master and stayed there for a long time, but he was still killed by the Star Master. With Xianyi's example, the Star Master might not take him seriously, the Heaven Ancestor added. Taoist Shen God was worried that the news of Jian Wushuang's breakthrough would alert the Star Master and speed up his arrival. However, just as the Temporal Temple Master and the Heaven Ancestor had said, the news of Jian Wushuang's breakthrough would spread sooner or later. Moreover, because of Xianyi's example, Devil Cloud Star Master thought that he could still kill Xianyi, who had been in the Principal's Master for a long time. Therefore, even if Jian Wushuang was allowed to stay in the Principal's Master realm for a period of time, as long as his original body made a move, he could still kill Jian Wushuang easily and would not take it seriously. Hearing their words, Taoist Shen God frowned and did not say anything more. At this moment, Jian Wushuang's divine power had clearly begun to transform. A terrifying divine power swept out from where he was, covering the entire Star Palace in an instant. This divine power was too strong. It had completely exceeded the scope of Principal's Masters, and it was still improving crazily. Within the Star Palace, other than the three rulers, there were still quite a few Principal's Masters present. When that divine might completely filled the area, these Principal's Masters instantly became extremely terrified. Some of the weaker ones, their legs even began to go weak and they almost knelt down. Divine might was unrivaled. This divine might suppressed everything in the surroundings, causing all the Principal's Masters within the Star Palace to tremble in fear. This sort of fear was as if they were facing a powerful ruler alone, and that ruler was unleashing all of his divine might to suppress them. They were indescribably terrified. Most importantly, this divine might was still increasing at a terrifying speed. Too terrifying, this divine might is too terrifying. Who is it? Who is emitting this divine might? How can it be so terrifying? Bloodsword Master is Bloodsword Master. The commotion was caused by him, so he must be the one who released the divine power. It's obvious that he has made a breakthrough. A breakthrough? To become a ruler? The Principal's Masters in Star Palace were all shocked. They were both envious and terrified of Jian Wushuang's breakthrough. Blood Sword Master had been recognized as the strongest Principles Master before he made the breakthrough. Now that he had become a ruler, how strong would he be? They could feel it just by looking at the divine power in front of them. The divine power emanating from Jian Wushuang was obviously not something an ordinary ruler could have. This divine power is really scary. The three rulers stood in the void of the Star Palace and felt the divine power from up close. Their expressions were quite interesting. It's indeed terrifying. It's much more powerful than an ordinary ruler. When I broke through from Principles Master to ruler, the divine power I released was probably not even 1/3 as strong as his, the Heaven Ancestor said. You are nothing more than the most ordinary ruler of this universe. How can you compare yourself to a freak at the level of a perfect being? Taoist Shen God laughed. The special life forms of this universe are all extraordinary creatures to begin with. They are far more powerful than ordinary cultivators, especially when it comes to divine power. They have a tremendous advantage, while perfect life forms are even more heaven-defying. I've seen Mystic One make a breakthrough before, and the commotion was just as terrifying. He only broke through to become a Principles Master, but the commotion of his breakthrough and the godly power he released were much greater than many rulers who had just broken through. And this little guy is naturally no weaker than Mystic One. In fact, from what I can see, the godly power he is displaying now is even stronger than Mystic One's. This proves that his potential is definitely greater than Mystic One's. Chapter 36:20, Triple. Taoist Shen God, Temporal Temple Master, and Heaven Ancestor were chatting and laughing. On the other side, Jian Wushuang's transformation of divine power was coming to an end. The overwhelming divine power that had filled the entire Star Palace was finally beginning to fade away. In the secret chamber, Jian Wushuang slowly opened his eyes. The moment he opened them, he clenched his hands tightly and instantly felt a terrifying power that could easily crush stars. This power was much stronger than his previous saint level. It's just as I guessed. At the Immortal Saint realm, my divine power is no less than that of an ordinary Principles Master, or even stronger than an ordinary Principles Master. Now that I've broken through to the Principles Master realm, my divine power is comparable to a ruler. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. The innate advantage of a perfect life-level cultivator was simply too great. And this innate advantage was first reflected in the power of divine power. He had only just broken through to become a Principles Master, but his divine power was already comparable to a ruler. Of course, this also had a few functions of the power of will. After he broke through, the power of will he had grasped. It had also undergone a qualitative transformation and had reached a new level. Moreover, this was only the basic power of divine power. Life Divine Power. With a thought, Jian Wushuang activated the Life Divine Power. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang felt that his strength had increased by a large margin, almost by 40%. It has improved so much all of a sudden? Jian Wushuang was immediately delighted. He had obtained the Life Divine Power from Blood Wave. It was a secret skill from the Life Palace, which was specially for special life forms to cultivate. To a large extent, it could allow special life forms to exert their innate advantages. However, the effect of this secret skill had a lot to do with the realm of the cultivator. Previously, Jian Wushuang was only at the level of the Immortal Saint. After using this secret skill, the increase in power was equivalent to an additional portion of the power of the will. Now that he had reached the level of Principles Master, his divine power was comparable to that of a ruler. When he used the Life Divine Power, his power was increased by another 40%. Don't underestimate this 40% power. This was the power of a ruler. Just an additional 10% was enough to have a great impact on a big battle. 40%? This meant that if he encountered a primary ruler in the future, he could definitely crush his opponent in the power of divine power. Although Senior Blood Wave gave me the Life Divine Power, this Life Divine Power is only the first level. There is still a limit to the advantages I can bring out. If I can learn the complete Life Divine Power one day, it will be even more helpful to me. Jian Wushuang sighed. He knew very well that he could only exert 10% of his innate advantage by using the first stage of the Life Divine Power. However, he had heard from Blood Wave that the creator of the Life Divine Power had cultivated the Life Divine Power to the peak. He could exert more than 10% of his innate advantage. Unfortunately, he did not have the complete Life Divine Power. In addition to the Life Magic Power, Jian Wushuang had another trump card, which was the Heaven Cleaving skill. Now that I have broken through to become a Principles Master, my realm is no weaker than that of my master at his peak. Logically speaking, I should be able to exert the strongest power of the Heaven Cleaving skill. I wonder how much the heaven-cleaving skill can improve my strength? Jian Wushuang had a trace of expectation in his heart. The heaven-cleaving skill was the most powerful skill created by his master. Most importantly, this skill was very unique. When Jian Wushuang used it, even Blood Wave was shocked by it. At that time, Blood Wave said that if he could use all the power of his heaven-cleaving skill, he would be able to use 30% of his innate advantage. After all, the life divine power he was cultivating now could increase his own power by 40%, but this 40% was only 10% of his innate advantage. If he could use 10% of his innate advantage, he would be able to use 40% more of his divine power. As for the 30% innate advantage, let's give it a try. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed with a sharp light. He waved his right hand and immediately used the heaven-cleaving skill. The moment he used the heaven-cleaving skill, the power in his hand suddenly increased. Boom! A low sonic boom was heard in the void. The void in front of him was almost shattered by him. This power, Jian Wushuang widened his eyes. He could clearly feel the sudden increase in power when he used the heaven-cleaving skill. The power had more than doubled. The 30% innate advantage didn't disappoint me. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands, a hint of surprise on his face. Then he tried again. He wanted to fully understand the level of power he had reached after using the life divine power and heaven-cleaving skill. After trying again and again, he soon figured it out. My current power is equivalent to that of an ordinary ruler, maybe a little stronger than an ordinary primary ruler. When I use the life divine power, my power will increase by 40%, which is equivalent to 140% of my power. But once I use the heaven-cleaving skill, my power will more than double. If I count all of them, I estimate that my power will be 280% or 290%. Jian Wushuang muttered. 280%, or even 290%. This was almost 3 times the power of an ordinary primary ruler. 3 times the power of a primary ruler. If I only talk about power, I'm afraid I can compete with an ordinary advanced ruler. Jian Wushuang exclaimed. He had to admit that the life divine power and the heaven-cleaving skill had given him a great surprise, especially the heaven-cleaving skill. One had to know that he had already activated the origin of the Sword Dao universe and had already created a 7th-tier high-grade ultimate art. Combined with the power that was comparable to that of a high-grade ruler, his battle prowess would be able to reach the level of a high-grade ruler in a short period of time. Even if he couldn't completely compare to a high-grade ruler, he would at least be very close. As for a high-grade ruler, one had to know that even in this territory, there were very, very few of them. Taoist Shen God, the Temporal Temple Master, and the Heaven Ancestor were all just low-grade rulers. In the Divine Beginning Realm, after Shen Yi had fallen, it seemed that only the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master had the battle strength of a senior ruler. However, now that he had broken through to Principal's Master, his battle strength had risen to the level of a senior ruler, which surprised Jian Wushuang. Chapter 36-21, Blood Sword Ruler? After a long while, Jian Wushuang calmed himself down. Then he stood up and walked out of the secret chamber. At this moment, Star Palace was no longer as quiet as it used to be. On the contrary, it was very lively. There were hundreds of experts under Star Palace. Although most of them had gone to the 3 battlefields to explore, there were still nearly 80 who stayed in Star Palace. These nearly 80 Principal's Masters were alarmed at this moment. All of them gathered in the void in front of Jian Wushuang's courtyard. Taoist Shen God, Temporal Temple Master, and Heaven Ancestor were also standing there. As Jian Wushuang walked out of his residence, the surrounding heated gazes instantly shot toward him. At the same time, the nearly 80 Principal's Masters also bowed down one after another. We pay our respects to the Blood Sword Ruler. His voice reverberated throughout the entire Star Palace. Ruler? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows, but his expression was rather strange. At this moment, his divine power had already been restrained, and there was not a trace of divine power or aura spreading out. With the naked eyes of these Principal's Masters, they could not see that Jian Wushuang had accumulated any power at all. However, when the Principal's Masters thought of the enormous divine power and movement just now, they had already determined that Jian Wushuang had broken through to the ruler realm. Therefore, as soon as Jian Wushuang came out, they immediately kowtowed. However, in reality, Jian Wushuang had not reached the ruler realm. Haha, Blood Sword Ruler, congratulations. Hearty laughter rang out. Taoist Shen God, Temporal Temple Master, and Heaven Ancestor also came to Jian Wushuang, and all 3 of them smiled. Seniors, even you? Jian Wushuang did not know whether to laugh or cry. He was not a ruler. Although the Principal's Masters could not see it, the 3 rulers could see it at a glance. However, the three of them clearly saw it, but they did not point it out. Instead, they addressed him as a ruler. It's not convenient to say so much here. Let's go to my space, Heaven Ancestor said. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded and then followed the three of them to the space. While they were leaving, Taoist Shen God gave an order. Don't mention what happened today to anyone else. Otherwise you will be severely punished. This order made the Temporal Temple Master and the Heaven Ancestor feel very strange. Because the three of them had said that since so many people had seen Jian Wushuang's breakthrough, it was impossible to stop the transmission of the news. But knowing this, Taoist Shen God still gave such an order. In that special space in the beautiful manner. Haha little guy, you've finally broken through to Principal's Master. Taoist Shen God laughed very happily. Shen God, pay attention to how you address him. Jian Wushuang has already broken through to Principal's Master. If nothing goes wrong, his strength should be comparable to that of a ruler. His strength is already on par with ours. You can't call him little guy anymore, Temporal Temple Master said. Yes, I was slow. Please don't take offense, Heavenly Sword Marquis. Taoist Shen God apologized on purpose. Jian Wushuang did not know whether to laugh or cry. Seniors, although you have already broken through, you are indeed just a little guy in front of the three of you. You can call me that. It doesn't matter. Besides, the three of you are from the same era as my master, so it's reasonable to call you that even according to seniority. No. The Temporal Temple Master shook his head. Although in terms of age we are indeed much older than you. However, from ancient times until now, cultivators have always depended on their strength, not on who is older. Your current strength is no weaker than ours, so naturally, you will communicate with us as equals. This is a rule among cultivators and you cannot go against it. Yes, my dear Heavenly Sword Marquis, just listen to us. As for your master, you don't have to pay attention to him. He has already fallen. Even if he is still alive, I dare say that he will let you communicate with me as equals, the Heaven Ancestor said. Jian Wushuang smiled bitterly, but he did not refuse again. In that case, I have offended the Black God, Temporal Temple Master, and the Heaven Ancestor. Haha, that's more like it. Shen God immediately laughed. My young friend, although you've just made a breakthrough, you should have some understanding of your current strength, right? Temporal Temple Master looked over. I do have some understanding. I'm certainly not inferior to an ordinary primary ruler in terms of battle strength. As for what will happen when I encounter an advanced ruler, I'm not sure, Jian Wushuang said. He was already very humble. He knew very well that with his full strength, the power of a primary ruler was 3 times stronger than that of a primary ruler. In addition, he had created an advanced level 7 secret skill. Even if he encountered an advanced ruler, he would still be able to fight against an ordinary primary ruler. He would definitely be able to crush them. After hearing Jian Wushuang's words, the eyes of the 3 rulers lit up. Taoist Shen God added, since you can't make an accurate judgment, let us help you. Heaven Ancestor, it's better for you to fight with this little guy. I have no objection. The Heaven Ancestor nodded. In that case, please enlighten me, Heaven Ancestor. Jian Wushuang smiled. In this space-time, Jian Wushuang and the Heaven Ancestor fought again. The last time they fought, Jian Wushuang was just testing the strength of his divine body, so he did not dodge the attack of the Heaven Ancestor. Instead, he used his divine body to receive it. But in this battle, the two of them were going to fight head-on. Although in this space-time their strength was limited, so they might not be able to completely let go of their hands and feet, but in some simple exchanges, was enough for them to have a certain understanding of each other's strength. Boom, 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 boom. A series of terrifying explosions could be heard in this space-time. Jian Wushuang and the Heaven Ancestor were fighting madly in this space-time. Every time they collided, the space-time would tremble violently as if it could not withstand the power of the two. In the end, the space-time was even on the verge of collapse. Soon an hour passed and the space-time was on the verge of collapse. At this time, Jian Wushuang and the Heaven Ancestor finally stopped. The two put away their magic weapons and stood together. Taoist Shen God and Temporal Temple Master, who had been watching the battle, also walked over. However, at this moment, Taoist Shen God, Temporal Temple Master, and the Heaven Ancestor, who had been fighting Jian Wushuang, all had strange expressions on their faces. My dear Heavenly Sword Marquis, you didn't use your full strength just now, did you? The Heaven Ancestor looked at Jian Wushuang seriously. Well, Jian Wushuang just laughed dryly. I knew it. The Heaven Ancestor sighed heavily. I could tell from your calm and composed look when you fought with me that you didn't use your full strength, but even so, you still completely suppressed me. Chapter 36:22. Trouble. He really didn't use his full strength. Taoist Shen God and Temporal Temple Master nodded to themselves. They had clearly seen the battle just now. Apart from some of his trump cards and life-saving methods, the Heaven Ancestor had indeed used all of his strength. But what about Jian Wushuang? From the beginning to the end, he had been very casual and relaxed. No matter what kind of attack the Heaven Ancestor used, he could easily resolve it. Even if he used his swordsmanship casually, it would still be extremely terrifying. It was so relaxed and comfortable that it was obvious that he had not used all of his strength. Even so, the battle in the last hour had been one-sided. The Heaven Ancestor had been completely suppressed by Jian Wushuang. It seems that your strength is much stronger than we thought after you broke through to Principle's Master, Taoist Shen God said. That's normal. During the years I was trapped, my cultivation of Sword Principle had improved greatly. I have created advanced level 7 absolute arts. As for elementary level 7 absolute arts, I have created many of them. Now that I have made a breakthrough, my strength is no weaker than that of an ordinary ruler. With the advantage of the absolute arts, I can indeed gain the upper hand when fighting with an ordinary elementary ruler. Of course, the Heaven Ancestor must have held back a little, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Don't hold back for me. I know very well whether you have held back or not. The Heaven Ancestor curled his lips. Jian Wushuang could only smile. Not bad. To have such strength right after breaking through is already much stronger than we expected. If you can get a suitable Supreme Treasure Divine Weapon, your strength should be even stronger, Taoist Shen God said. Shen God, is there any result for the Supreme Treasure Divine Sword? Jian Wushuang immediately looked at Taoist Shen God. Before he went into seclusion, Taoist Shen God had told him that he would find a way to get a Supreme Treasure Divine Sword for him. Now that 3,000 years had passed, there should be a result. That divine sword is a bit troublesome. Taoist Shen God frowned. Troublesome? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. My young friend, I told you before that the most powerful supreme treasure, the divine sword, is in the hands of an extremely powerful ruler, who is also the leader of a major force. Taoist Shen God said seriously, originally, I had prepared sufficient resources. Not to say that I could completely impress him, but using these things I prepared to exchange for the most powerful supreme treasure, which he doesn't need at all, he should have definitely made a profit. The possibility of him agreeing should be very high, but the result was completely beyond my expectations. Did he refuse? Jian Wushuang asked. It would be easy if he refused on the spot. Since he refused so decisively, it means that the supreme true treasure divine sword is not useless to him. On the contrary, he may value it more. For example, if an expert who specializes in sword principle breaks through to become a ruler, he can leave the divine sword to him. But the key point is that he did not refuse directly at the beginning. He paused for a moment, Taoist Shen God continued, he didn't reject me directly. Instead he asked me who I wanted to give the supreme treasure sword to. Since the ruler had nothing to do with the sacred island and had no grudge with my star palace, I didn't think too much about it and said that it was for you. Unexpectedly, the ruler immediately changed his mind and said that he would never give you the supreme treasure sword. What? Jian Wushuang was stunned. At first he did not refuse, but when he heard that Taoist Shen God would give him the divine sword, he immediately changed his face. It was obvious that the ruler had a lot of opinions about him. What's going on, my young friend? Apart from Sacred Island, have you offended other rulers in this territory? Temporal Temple Master looked at him. Well, I don't know. Although I've been in the 3 battlefields for a while, I haven't really offended many experts. As for the rulers, I've been in the 3 battlefields for a long time, but I've never met any other rulers except those from Sacred Island, Jian Wushuang said. He was puzzled. When he was in the 3 battlefields, he had been very careful and did not offend any experts, let alone the rulers. Why did any of the rulers have such a strong opinion of him? Shen God, what's going on? Temporal Temple Master looked at Shen God. I asked and the ruler told me the reason. It does have something to do with the Heavenly Sword Marquis. Shen God took a deep breath. He asked, Heavenly Sword Marquis, when you were in Devil's Smoke Valley, did you have any dealings with the people of the North Sea Palace? The North Sea Palace? Jian Wushuang's pupils constricted. Among all the forces in this territory, the North Sea Palace, which was ranked in the top 3, could be said to be a ruler in this territory. Jian Wushuang really had dealings with the North Sea Palace. Could it be them? Jian Wushuang's face darkened. He said, when I was wandering in Devil's Smoke Valley, I met with the Shuryen Master and the Red-Eye Master. The Shuryen Master and the Red-Eye Master worked together to search for prey in the 9-twist demon cave in the depths of Devil's Smoke Valley and forcibly seized the treasures in each other's hands. At that time they found me. What happened in the end? Taoist Shen God asked. They were strong but they were not as skilled as me. I was fine during the encounter, but they suffered a great loss, Jian Wushuang said. Not just a great loss. I heard from the ruler that you almost killed the Red-Eye Master during the encounter, Taoist Shen God said strangely. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. If they wanted to kill me I would fight back with all my strength. If I had the chance to kill one of them I wouldn't show any mercy. Red-Eye Master underestimated me and was severely taught a lesson. If it weren't for one of the masters she would have been dead. That's it. Taoist Shen God shrugged. The ruler who has the supreme treasure divine sword is one of the leaders of the North Sea Palace, Master Sky Roc. He is also the strongest expert in the North Sea Palace. The Red-Eye Master who almost died in your hands is one of his direct descendants. Direct descendants? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. My young friend, you might not know this, but the Sky Roc ruler is an extremely ancient ruler. He rose to power very early. When he rose to power, his family soared to the sky because of him and became a great ruler of his Fang Xingjia. He has stood tall and firm for a long time. After so many years, there are many members in his family, and naturally, some of them are extremely talented. Chapter 36-23, Going to the North Sea Palace. The Red-Eye Master is the most outstanding of the junior disciples of the clan which Sky Roc Ruler belongs to. She is highly regarded by this Sky Roc Ruler. In fact, Sky Roc Ruler once personally guided her for a period of time. In the North Sea Palace she received far more treatment than many peak 6-stage experts, and you nearly killed her. Taoist Shen God sighed. Of course you didn't kill the Red-Eye Master, and the Red-Eye Master provoked you so the Sky Roc Ruler wouldn't lower himself to deal with you. However, not dealing with you doesn't mean that he doesn't care about it. Therefore, when he found out that I was going to give you the divine sword, he changed his mind. Is that so? Jian Wushuang was stunned. The Temporal Temple Master and the Heaven Ancestor were also puzzled. What bad luck. Jian Wushuang could not help sighing. I have been in the 3 battlefields for a long time, and the only one who has a grudge with me is the Red-Eye Master. I didn't expect the Red-Eye Master to have such a great background. Moreover, the most powerful supreme treasure magic weapon happened to be in the hands of Master Sky Roc. Jian Wushuang felt bitter in his heart. He was indeed unlucky. The only person who had a grudge against him happened to have a close relationship with Master Sky Roc. If I had known, I would have just run away when I was forced by Shi Yen Master and Red-Eye Master. Jian Wushuang felt a little regretful. There's no other way. Even in the North Sea Palace, not many people knew about the relationship between Red-Eye Master and Master Sky Roc, and the outside world didn't know about it. They only treated her as an ordinary expert of the North Sea Palace. In the end, that's all that happened, Taoist Shen God said. If that's the case, I'm afraid this supreme true treasure sword is really troublesome. Jian Wushuang's face darkened slightly. How could a person who almost killed his beloved junior disciple be willing to give this sword to me? If it were me, I wouldn't be willing either. That's why he sent me away earlier, Taoist Shen God said calmly. Suddenly his expression changed. Although this matter is very troublesome and it's impossible for him to exchange the supreme treasure divine sword for ours, there's still a way to get it. What way? Jian Wushuang, the Temporal Temple Master, and the Heaven Ancestor immediately looked over. I only thought of it after I saw the divine body of the Divine Marquis, which is comparable to an elementary universe supreme treasure. The Taoist Shen God smiled slightly, then he said, You 3 should have heard of the Sky Roc Ruler. He is a superior ruler and his strength is far stronger than ours. In addition, his North Sea Palace is one of the top 3 forces in this territory. He must be very arrogant. Arrogant? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. Yes, arrogant. And that's what we're going to use. Taoist Shen God smiled and explained his plan briefly. After listening to Taoist Shen God, Jian Wushuang, Temporal Temple Master, and the Heaven Ancestor all looked very strange. This method is really stupid. Jian Wushuang could not help but say, Haha, the method is a little stupid, but it might actually work. Heaven Ancestor smiled. Yes, but you still have to be careful. Don't go too far. After all, it's the territory of the North Sea Palace. If you go too far and force the Master Sky Roc into a corner, it's hard to guarantee that he won't do anything. Temporal Temple Master smiled strangely. By the way, is that why you ordered the experts of Star Palace not to spread the news of the Heavenly Sword Marquis breakthrough? Yes. Taoist Shen God nodded. What I said is indeed a little stupid. Moreover, this method can only be used before the news is completely spread. That is to say, when the Sky Roc Ruler believes that the Heavenly Sword Marquis is only a principal's master, he might be fooled. However, if the news is completely spread and everyone knows that the Sky Roc Ruler has made another breakthrough to become a ruler, then the Sky Roc Ruler might not be fooled. Although the Heavenly Sword Marquis is still a principal's master and hasn't reached the level of a ruler, he might still be wary of Jian Wushuang's breakthrough in the Star Palace. That's why I gave the order. Of course, although I gave the order, I know clearly that it's impossible for the experts in the Star Palace to carry it out. Therefore the news will definitely spread. However, it won't be so brazen and it won't spread too fast. That gives us time to complete the task. In other words, we have to go to the North Sea Palace and get the Supreme Treasure Divine Sword before the news spreads to the North Sea Palace? Temporal Temple Master said in a deep voice. That's right. Taoist Shen God nodded. The North Sea Palace is one of the top 3 forces in this territory. They have many universal passageways in this territory. I know one that can help us get to the North Sea Palace as quickly as possible. If nothing goes wrong, we can get there before the news reaches the North Sea Palace, Taoist Shen God said. Jian Wushuang understood what had happened and let out a sigh of relief. He said, I had planned to return to the Divine Beginning Realm to open the seal and return to my hometown after my breakthrough, but now it seems that I have to put this matter aside and wait until I come back from the North Sea Palace. Jian Wushuang felt a little regretful, but he soon looked up again with a fierce gleam in his eyes. Let's not delay. Shen God, let's go to the North Sea Palace now. Okay. Taoist Shen God nodded. They immediately rushed to the North Sea Palace as fast as they could. As for the Temporal Temple Master and the Heaven Ancestor, they did not participate in it. After all, Jian Wushuang and Taoist Shen God were going for the Supreme Treasure Divine Sword, and their opponent was the North Sea Palace of the Sky Roc Ruler, which had the strength of a top-tier ruler. Moreover, there was not only one ruler in the North Sea Palace, so they could not force him like when they had obtained the Netherfire Blood Crystal. They could only use their wits. They had already made a plan and only Jian Wushuang and Shen God were needed to complete it. The North Sea Palace was one of the rulers of this territory. The 3 palace masters of the North Sea Palace were all experts at the ruler realm, especially the Sky Roc Ruler, who was widely recognized as a top-tier ruler. Among all the rulers in this territory, he was definitely one of the strongest rulers in this territory. The North Sea Palace was located in the east of this territory, and its base was also on Earth Star. However, the North Sea Palace occupied a total of 3 Earth Stars, and its scale was not something the Star Palace could compare to. Chapter 36-24. In the North Sea Palace? This is the North Sea Palace? It's so grand. Jian Wushuang stood in the void of the universe and looked at the 3 triangular-shaped world stars in front of him. The 3 world stars were connected with each other in a magic formation. Although they were 3 huge world stars, they looked like a whole. After all, he is one of the rulers of this territory, so of course he is generous. Taoist Shen God said, Follow me. Taoist Shen God brought Jian Wushuang to one of the Earth stars very quickly. However, because of the existence of the magic formation, they could not enter the Earth star directly. I have already sent a message to the people of the North Sea Palace. Someone will come to pick us up soon. My young friend, when we enter the North Sea Palace and meet the Master Yunshin, you must do as I told you on the way. We must cooperate with each other so that we can trick the Master Sky Roc, Taoist Shen God warned. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. It did not take long for a figure to walk out from the sector star. It was a middle-aged man in a white robe with a gentle face. Jian Wushuang recognized him the moment he saw him. Master Yunshin, one of the 7 experts of the pinnacle of the 6th realm in the North Sea Palace. He is also the personal disciple of the Master Sky Roc. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. There were not many ultimate experts of the 6 realms in this territory, but the North Sea Palace had a total of 7. This showed how powerful the North Sea Palace was. As for Master Yunshin, although Jian Wushuang had never met him, he had read his information. Master Shen God, you are here again. Master Yunshin bowed slightly to Taoist Shen God after he arrived. When he raised his head, he looked at Jian Wushuang, and his expression immediately turned cold. You are Blood Sword Master? Master Yunshin's voice became low. Master Yunshin knew that Jian Wushuang had caused such a huge commotion in Devil Smoke Valley and was now recognized as the strongest principal's master in this territory. He had also seen the mirror image of Jian Wushuang fighting with the 5 experts of the pinnacle of the 6th realm. He remembered Jian Wushuang's appearance, so he recognized him at a glance. Compared to the mirror image, Master Yunshin's heart was slightly moved when he saw Jian Wushuang in person. Although Jian Wushuang had restrained his divine power and he could not sense any aura, just standing there made him feel an extremely dangerous aura. This aura, he had never sensed it from other Principles Masters. It said that Bloodsword Master is the strongest Principles Master in this territory. I had some doubts before, but now it seems that he is indeed the strongest, Master Yunshin muttered to himself. After all, he was also an expert at the pinnacle of the Sixth Realm. Among the many experts at the pinnacle of the Sixth Realm in this territory, he was also extremely powerful. However, Jian Wushuang gave him a sense of danger just by standing there and not making a move. Jian Wushuang must be much stronger than him. Hello, Master Yunshin. Jian Wushuang greeted Master Yunshin with a smile. I didn't expect you, Bloodsword Master, to come to the North Sea Palace in person. I'm surprised. Master Yunshin gave Jian Wushuang a deep look and then waved his hand. Follow me. Master Yunshin immediately led the way. With the guidance of Master Yunshin, the magic formation of the North Sea Palace did not make things difficult for Jian Wushuang and Taoist Shen God. They soon entered the North Sea Palace. When they arrived at the North Sea Palace, many experts of the North Sea Palace immediately noticed the presence of Jian Wushuang and Taoist Shen God. Look, among the two people following Master Yunshin, is the person carrying the divine sword the Bloodsword Master? Yes, it's him. I've seen the battle between him and the 5 Blood Spirit Kings. It's exactly the same. It really is the Bloodsword Master. He actually came to our North Sea Palace? The person beside the Bloodsword Master seems to be a ruler. Could it be the one from Star Palace? It's him. Not long ago, the Palace Master of Star Palace also came to our North Sea Palace. Last time he came alone, but this time he actually brought the Bloodsword Master with him. What are they trying to do? The entire North Sea Palace began to discuss. Because the North Sea Palace had 3 Earth Stars, Jian Wushuang and Taoist Shen God only appeared on one of them. However, the experts of the North Sea Palace did not see them on the other 2 Earth Stars. The 2 Earth Stars were still very calm. On one of the Earth Stars stood a huge golden tower. This golden tower had a total of 33 floors and was extremely majestic. This tower was extremely famous in the North Sea Palace and was one of the most important cultivation resources in the North Sea Palace. There was only one use for this golden tower, and that was to temper the strength of one's soul. It was precisely because of this that experts from the North Sea Palace would often wander around the golden tower, making their souls stronger and more resilient. At that moment, on the 30th floor of the golden tower, there was a beautiful woman wearing a purplish-red robe. Her eyes were strangely red, which meant that the Red-Eye Master was sitting there cross-legged. She allowed the surrounding waves of soul power to madly charge at her. She forced her eyes to clench their teeth and forcefully endure the soul power. What she was good at was the soul, and the soul attack from the golden tower was a form of cultivation for her. It could make her soul stronger faster. At this moment, Red-Eye. A communication token in her interspatial ring started to vibrate crazily. Red-Eye Master opened her eyes and took out her communication token. She replied, Shiyen, what's wrong? Are you still training your soul power? On the other end of the token, Shiyen Master's voice sounded urgent. Yes. Red-Eye Master was puzzled. She and Shiyen Master had quite a good relationship. Previously, the two of them had been adventuring in the depths of Devil's Smoke Valley together, and they had even worked together to snatch treasures from various experts. However, it had not been long before the two of them had returned to the North Sea Palace. All these years, she had been training her soul power. As for Shiyen Master, she had also stopped adventuring and remained in the North Sea Palace. Stop training. Quick, come to this Earth Star of mine and become the ruler of this place, Shiyen Master said hurriedly. What's going on? Red-Eye Master was even more puzzled. It's Bloodsword Master, Shiyen Master said suddenly. Upon hearing this name, Red-Eye Master was instantly stunned, and her gaze instantly turned cold. Bloodsword Master. This name had always been engraved in her heart force. She had never forgotten it. Back in Devil's Smoke Valley, she had nearly died at the hands of this Bloodsword Master. Chapter 36-25, Sky Roc Ruler, what's wrong with Bloodsword Master? Red-Eye Master asked in a low voice. He's here. He came to our North Sea Palace personally. He's on this Earth Star. It seems he's here to look for the ruler. Shiyen Master said. What did you say? Red-Eye Master was furious. Furious to the extreme. One had to know that she, Red-Eye Master, was born very high. Her family was the ruler of the astral world, and the person in power behind her was the strongest person in the North Sea Palace, ruler Sky Roc. It could be said that her background was extraordinary, and her talent was also extremely high. she had not been born for too long, but she had already reached the level of a 6th-grade principal's master. Furthermore, she had extremely high attainments in the aspect of the soul. Even Ruler Sky Rock doted on her very much. It was also because of this that she had rarely encountered any major setbacks or trouble along the way. As for the dangerous ones, she had encountered them before, but there had never been a time when she had been so close to death. After all, many of the upper echelons of the North Sea Palace had held her in their hands. But that time in Devil Smoke Valley. That time, the Red Eye Master had encountered this Bloodsword Master. At that time, Bloodsword Master was only a well-known principal's master. Although she had some strength, it was nothing in Red Eye Master's eyes, not to mention that she had a Shurian Master by her side. Therefore, when they met Jian Wushuang in the Nine-Twist Demon Cave, they thought they were going to take him down. However, she did not expect that Jian Wushuang, whom she did not care about, had shown his terrifying strength and skills. Most importantly, his amazing plan had forced her into a desperate situation. That battle, she was lucky. In addition, Shurian Master had saved her at the fastest speed possible. However, if she was a little less lucky or Shurian Master had come a little slower, she would have died. It could be said that it was indeed the closest she had come to death. That was why she held a grudge against Jian Wushuang. After the incident, she frantically used the power of the North Sea Palace to search for Jian Wushuang, hoping to avenge herself. However, she did not expect that Jian Wushuang would completely disappear not long after meeting them. Moreover, he had been missing for nearly 100,000 years. At that time, Red Eye Master thought that Jian Wushuang had died. Therefore, she could only accept the fact and did not continue to pursue the matter. However, who knew that Jian Wushuang, who had been missing for nearly 100,000 years, suddenly appeared again. Moreover, he had defeated 5 experts of the pinnacle of the 6th realm by himself in an invincible manner among principal's masters. The Red Eye Master could not accept such a terrible result at first, but she could not do anything about it. After that battle, the senior officials of the North Sea Palace had decided to let the matter go as long as Jian Wushuang did not provoke the North Sea Palace. This made the Red Eye Master even angrier. But she also knew very well that even the North Sea Palace would not easily provoke a supreme expert who could be called the strongest among the principal's masters. There was nothing wrong with the decision of the higher-ups of the North Sea Palace. Even her backer, the Sky Roc Ruler, did not stand up for her. This lets the Red Eye Master also very helpless, also can only put down that matter first. But who would have thought that she had already decided to let it go and no longer bother with the Bloodsword Master? But the other party did not give up and actually took the initiative to find her in the North Sea Palace, and also to find the Master Sky Rock. This Bloodsword Master is really courting death. Red Eye Master's eyes were burning with flames. Without hesitation, she immediately left the Golden Tower and rushed toward the Earth Star where Jian Wushuang was located. On the other side, although many experts of the North Sea Palace were discussing this Earth Star, no one dared to follow Jian Wushuang's path. Under the guidance of Master Yunxin, Jian Wushuang and Taoist Shen God soon arrived at the palace where Master Heaven Rock lived. It was called a palace, but upon entering it, one would find that it was a vast grassland. On the grassland there were thousands of fierce beasts, some big and some small, and some strong and some weak, but without exception they had all been completely tamed. On this prairie they were like ordinary livestock actually eating grass. And on top of one of the tall fierce beasts, a barefooted man wearing a thunder shirt was lazily lying there. In the end he even had a weed in his mouth. This barefooted man was the Sky Roc Ruler. As for the grassland and the tens of thousands of beasts, they were all deliberately created by the Sky Roc Ruler in order to reminisce about the past. No one knew that the Sky Roc Ruler was actually just a cowherd in the mortal world from the very beginning. It was only because of the drastic changes in his family that he began to grow up step by step. He rose up step by step and experienced a long period of time, only now did he become one of the most powerful figures in this region. Master Black God has arrived. Someone stood there in the air above him, then bowed respectfully toward Sky Roc Ruler, who was seated atop the savage beast. Sky Roc Ruler. Taoist Shen God bowed slightly as well. Although they were both rulers, there was a massive difference in power between them. When faced with Sky Roc Ruler, Taoist Shen God truly had to show a hint of humility and even reverence. Shen God, you're here again. And this time you even brought the little guy here. It seems that you still don't want to give up. The Sky Roc Ruler remained motionless on the beast and did not look at Taoist Shen God. Taoist Shen God smiled slightly and then gave Jian Wushuang a look. Jian Wushuang took a step forward and bowed. Blood Sword greets the Sky Roc Ruler. Little guy, I know you. You defeated 5 experts of the pinnacle of the 6th realm by yourself. Now everyone in this territory says that you are the #1 Principles Master. No Principles Master in the North Sea Palace is as strong as you. Master Sky Rock's voice sounded slowly, but you are too bold. How dare you come to the North Sea Palace in person? Aren't you afraid that I will kill you? You must be joking, ruler. I don't have any deep enmity with the North Sea Palace. If that's the case, why wouldn't I dare to come? Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Oh really? The Sky Rock ruler finally raised his head and looked at Jian Wushuang with his dark eyes. It seemed that he was going to see through Jian Wushuang completely. However, Jian Wushuang was no longer the same as before. He still stood there calmly in the face of Master Sky Rock's gaze. At this moment, Blood Sword Master, how dare you? A fierce shout suddenly sounded in the void. Chapter 36-26. Narrow-minded. This voice was filled with monstrous fury. With a flash, the Red-Eye Master appeared beside Sky Rock Ruler, accompanied by the Shuryen Master. Clan Master. Ruler. Both the Red-Eye Master and the Shuryen Master bowed respectfully to Sky Rock Ruler. The Red-Eye Master was a descendant of the Sky Rock Ruler's clan, so he had always addressed the Sky Rock Ruler as the Clan Master. Yes. The Sky Rock Ruler only nodded slightly. The Red-Eye Master's eyes flashed and instantly fixed on Jian Wushuang. Blood Sword Master, how dare you come to the North Sea Palace? I don't have any life and death feud with the North Sea Palace, so why wouldn't I dare? Jian Wushuang smiled. No feud? Don't forget that you almost killed me in the Nine-Twist Demon Cave. Isn't this still a feud? The Red-Eye Master snorted. Red-Eye Master, it was you and the Shuryen Master who came to me first in the Nine-Twist Demon Cave. It was you two who wanted to kill me first. I was just fighting back normally. Do you think that if you two want to kill me, I can only let you kill me without any resistance? If that's the case, then your North Sea Palace is too overbearing, Jian Wushuang shouted in a low voice. You really know how to quibble. Red-Eye Master smiled coldly and then looked at Master Sky Rock. Master, Blood Sword Master almost killed me in the Nine-Twist Demon Cave. If Shuryen Master hadn't arrived in time, I would have died. I didn't want to bring it up again, but I didn't expect Blood Sword Master to come to the North Sea Palace. This is too much. If I don't punish him severely, people will think that the North Sea Palace is easy to bully. So please help me, Master. Red-Eye Master knelt down and said in a loud voice. Master Sky Rock's face darkened slightly. He glanced at Jian Wushuang and asked, Blood Sword Master, why did you come here today? Master Sky Rock, to tell you the truth, I came here today to apologize, Jian Wushuang said. Apologize? Master Sky Rock was surprised. Red-Eye Master looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. Jian Wushuang smiled. He said, I know that there was some unhappiness between Red-Eye Master and Shuryen Master. Although it was Red-Eye Master and Shuryen Master who provoked me, in the end it was Red-Eye Master who suffered a loss. However, I didn't know about the relationship between Red-Eye Master and Master Sky Rock. Now that I know, I have to apologize. Upon hearing Jian Wushuang's words, Red-Eye Master snorted and said, You're smart. Master Sky Rock also nodded slightly. Since you didn't know about it before and it didn't cause too much of a consequence, and now you've taken the initiative to apologize, then this matter is completely understood. From now on, the North Sea Palace will not mention it again. Thank you, Master Sky Rock. Jian Wushuang smiled. Haha, it seems that the misunderstanding has been resolved. Daoist Shen God's laughter rang out at this moment. Master Sky Rock, since this matter has been completely settled, then what I told you before? Master Sky Rock's expression suddenly turned cold. Shen God, I guess that you must have come because of the previous matter. Daoist Shen God laughed awkwardly. You're right. The matter between the Blood Sword Ruler and Red-Eye has indeed been put behind us, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't happened before. Do you think that just because you dragged the Blood Sword Ruler over to my North Sea Palace to apologize and give me a way out, he'll agree to that? Sky Rock Ruler let out a cold snort. Let me tell you this. Although your Star Palace and my North Sea Palace weren't enemies, we definitely weren't on very good terms. As for what you said just now, don't even think about it. Upon hearing Sky Rock Ruler's words, Daoist Shen God's face instantly changed. Sky Rock Ruler, do you really not have any leeway at all? Not at all. The Sky Rock Ruler waved his hand decisively. It was obvious that he had already made up his mind. He would never give the Supreme Treasure Divine Sword to Daoist Shen God. Even if Daoist Shen God brought Jian Wushuang here to apologize and put the matter of the Red Eye behind him, he would not agree. Daoist Shen God's expression turned somewhat ugly when he saw the Sky Rock Ruler's spear shadow attitude. At this moment, Jian Wushuang, who was beside him, exploded. Humph, Palace Master, did you see that? Jian Wushuang's eyes turned cold. I've said before that even if I take the initiative to apologize and lower myself, they will never agree to that. After all, this is the North Sea Palace, one of the top forces in this territory. The Sky Roc Ruler is one of the top 3 rulers in this territory. Such a ruler is very arrogant. He won't take our sincerity seriously. Before Jian Wushuang could finish his sentence. Blood Sword, don't talk nonsense, Taoist Shen God immediately interrupted him. What? Did I say something wrong? Since I've offended the North Sea Palace, it doesn't matter if I'm here to apologize or what I've done. The North Sea Palace will hold a grudge against me. As for the Sky Roc Ruler, he may be very strong, but he's still arrogant and self-righteous. He's as narrow-minded as the average superior, Jian Wushuang sneered. There was even a hint of disdain in his eyes. Not only Taoist Shen God, but the other principals masters of the North Sea Palace were also shocked. Blood Sword Master, how dare you? Red Eye Master was completely enraged. She carefully glanced at Ruler Sky Roc from the corner of her eyes. As expected, Ruler Sky Roc's face turned completely gloomy. Boy, what did you say just now? Master Sky Roc stared at Jian Wushuang with a cold gaze. A terrifying aura was slowly gathering on his body. Master Sky Roc, I'm sorry. This little guy has only cultivated for a short time and acted too rashly. He offended you in the North Sea Palace with his words. I'm here to apologize. I hope you don't mind. Taoist Shen God immediately apologized. However, Jian Wushuang was even more unhappy. Palace Master, why are you apologizing? I've already said that Master Sky Roc is arrogant. As long as you offend him, it's useless no matter what you do afterward. Moreover, he's a narrow-minded villain, but on the surface he looks like a sanctimonious person. What a joke. Shut up, don't mess around. Taoist Shen God was completely anxious. The ruler's gaze became completely cold and emotionless as well. The nearby Red Eye Master was frightened by this gaze. Chapter 36-27. Giving you a chance. I've never seen such a terrifying gaze from the clan leader. Red Eye Master was alarmed. Beside him, Master Yunshin and Shiyan Master were also throbbing their throats. Is this Blood Sword Master courting death? How dare he say such words? Does he not know who he is facing? Shiyan Master was secretly amazed. What kind of figure was the Sky Roc Ruler? He was a supreme ruler, an almost invincible existence in this territory. Such a figure was absolutely high and aloof in this territory. As for Jian Wushuang, he was just a principal's master. Although he was publicly recognized as the strongest principal's master, he was still a principal's master. In front of the Sky Roc Ruler he was still a little guy. However, this little guy actually pointed at the Sky Roc Ruler's nose and called him a narrow-minded person in the North Sea Palace. In front of his disciples and juniors, was he not courting death? Everyone present thought that Jian Wushuang was crazy. They looked at him as if he was a fool. However, Jian Wushuang did not pay attention to them. He continued, Master Sky Roc, I know that you are high and mighty, but because of that, you can't help the Red Eye Master because of your status. Thanks, this is really embarrassing. Boy, have you said enough? Master Sky Roc finally spoke. His voice was as cold as ice. The surrounding air had also been completely frozen, and a faint killing intent had surrounded the space. What, do you want to fight? Jian Wushuang smiled. If you want to fight, then don't hold back. Just fight. Let me see what you are capable of, the high and mighty Sky Roc Ruler. At this point, a normal person would have already attacked, but Master Sky Roc did not. He narrowed his eyes and stared at Jian Wushuang. He wanted to see through Jian Wushuang, but no matter how he looked at him, he could not figure out what was going on. Why aren't you fighting? I gave you a chance. Are you afraid that if you kill me here, the experts will laugh at you and bully me in your own territory? Jian Wushuang laughed heartily. If you're really afraid, let's make a bet. You can kill me within 10 breaths. If I die in your hands within 10 breaths, then I deserve it. My palace master will not complain about the North Sea Palace, and he will come out and explain to the outside world that I offended you and was killed by you. You don't have to worry about being called a bully. But if I don't die in 10 breaths, I want what I want. What do you think? After saying that, Jian Wushuang looked at the Sky Roc Ruler. But after hearing him, the Sky Roc Ruler's expression and eyes became calm. That thing? The Sky Roc Ruler smiled faintly. Sure enough, you've said so much, but your ultimate goal is still that thing. Jian Wushuang was stunned, and Taoist Shen God's heart sank. The process of meeting the Sky Roc Ruler in the North Sea Palace was discussed by Jian Wushuang and Taoist Shen God. Their goal was to obtain the supreme true treasure divine sword of the Sky Roc Ruler. However, the problem was that the Sky Roc Ruler was an ancient ruler who had lived for God knows how many years. It was not easy for them to scheme against such a ruler. As expected, Master Sky Roc saw through their real purpose at a glance. Haha, I admit that my ultimate goal is to get the thing in your hand. But at the same time, Master Sky Roc, do you dare to say that you don't want to kill me at all? Jianghu Shuang smiled coldly. I can clearly feel the killing intent that filled this space and time just now. Even now, the killing intent hasn't completely disappeared. Indeed. Before I met you, I did not have any killing intent toward you. However, I do now. The Sky Roc Ruler coldly said. His killing intent had indeed risen. After all, he was an incomparably aloof ruler. Over the many years, no one had ever dared to speak to him in such a manner. Moreover, they had even pointed at his nose and scolded him. Even an ordinary person would not be able to endure this, much less him. In the face of such humiliation, it would be a joke if he did not make a move. Although he knew that Jianghu Shuang was deliberately luring him to make a move, Jianghu Shuang's plan was bound to succeed. Boy, just as you said, 10 breaths is too long. As a mere principles master, no matter how strong you are among principles masters, 1 breath is enough for me to kill you, said the Sky Roc Ruler. 1 breath. Then I'll let you do it, Master Sky Roc. Jianghu Shuang smiled happily. Not only Jianghu Shuang but Taoist Shen God who was behind him looked anxious, but he was also very happy. Others did not know Jianghu Shuang's real strength, but he knew it very well. He already had the strength of a ruler, and he had a divine body that was comparable to an elementary universe supreme treasure and boundless divine power. Such a means and ability, even if Master Sky Roc was given 4 hours, he would not be able to kill Jianghu Shuang. Jianghu Shuang had said that he would give the Sky Roc Ruler a chance to kill him in 10 breaths. He did not expect the Sky Roc Ruler to say that he would only take 1 breath. 1 breath could only kill Jianghu Shuang? Even if the Devil Cloud Star Master came personally, he might not be able to do so. However, the Sky Roc Ruler clearly did not know this. Just as Taoist Shen God had said, he was indeed a supreme figure. Such a supreme figure would be somewhat arrogant or conceited. The Sky Roc Ruler had such arrogance. He was a ruler and a superior ruler. Although Jianghu Shuang had restrained his divine power, he could tell at a glance that Jianghu Shuang was still at the level of a principles master. Since he was only a principles master, he could kill him in a breath's time. Of course, he could kill him easily. Soon the Sky Roc Ruler made his move. Rumble. As the Sky Roc Ruler slowly raised his hand, the world instantly shook, and a world-shaking power instantly gathered in his palm. The sky collapsed and the earth shook wildly. The thousands of fierce beasts on the grassland began to run for their lives. This was the Sky Roc Ruler. The power formed with just a thought completely exceeded the limits of this special spacetime. Boom. Suddenly, the Sky Roc Ruler's finger descended. Chapter 36-28. 1 breath spacetime was completely crushed. Endless power was pressing toward Jianghu Shuang, making him secretly shocked. Although he knew that the Sky Roc Ruler was a superior ruler and would be very powerful, when the Sky Roc Ruler really attacked, he was still shocked. Just the finger in front of him gave him a feeling that he could not resist it at all. If he fought it head-on, this finger could easily crush him. However, Jianghu Shuang knew that this finger was not the strongest strength of the Sky Roc Ruler. Jianghu Shuang struck out with his sword. He slashed out with his sword and instantly activated the origin of the sword principle universe. However, in terms of power, Jianghu Shuang only used less than 10% of the power of his sword. Although it was only 10%, it was still much stronger than an ordinary principles master. In addition to the ruler realm's secret skill, Jianghu Shuang displayed the most powerful battle strength of the principles master that everyone recognized before he made a breakthrough. Of course, he did this on purpose. Bang! The finger directly collided with the long sword in Jianghu Shuang's hand. Almost in an instant, Jianghu Shuang's sword momentum collapsed and the long sword in his hand almost flew out. However, the finger of the Sky Roc Ruler continued to attack. Finally, it landed on his divine body. A terrifying power suddenly exploded on Jianghu Shuang's divine body. Jianghu Shuang let out a muffled groan and shot backward like a meteor. Until the very edge of the spacetime, he smashed into the spacetime barrier, which cracked. Seeing this, the Red-Eye Master who was standing in the void sneered, "Blood Sword Master is overestimating himself. He thinks he has some strength and is invincible among principles masters, so he can challenge a ruler. What a joke. The gap between a ruler and a principles master is not so easy to make up for. Moreover, he chose the clan master, the strongest superior ruler in this territory. Red-Eye, I don't think it's that simple. Shiyan Master suddenly said, look at Blood Sword Master. He's still alive. Huh. Red-Eye Master immediately looked over. Sure enough, Jian Wushuang had already stood up. You should be proud of yourself for being able to take my finger and not die. But that's all. Master Sky Rock's face was cold. He glanced at Jian Wushuang and then moved, a shocking power gathered in his hand again. It should be known that Jian Wushuang and Master Sky Rock were limited to one breath. One breath might be very short for ordinary cultivators, but for super experts like Master Sky Rock, one breath was enough for him to do many things. For example, when he fought with Jian Wushuang now, one breath was enough for him to attack Jian Wushuang at least 5 times. Just now, it was only the first time. Then, the Master Sky Rock attacked again with more power. In the face of the Master Sky Rock's terrifying strength, Jian Wushuang seemed to be vulnerable. He seemed to be trying his best to resist the Master Sky Rock's attack, but he was easily defeated by the Master Sky Rock. In the blink of an eye, the Master Sky Rock had attacked 4 times, and he had almost used up the time of one breath. He was just a little bit short of time. Sky Roc Ruler only had one last chance. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Time and space started to tremble crazily. A purple glove appeared in Sky Roc Ruler's hand, and it gave off a suffocating aura. Supreme Universe True Treasure. As a top-tier ruler, Sky Roc Ruler had a supreme attack true treasure that was suitable for him. However, he had not taken out any of the previous 4 attacks, but this 5th and final attack was Sky Roc Ruler's. Clearly he was going all out. Star-crushing finger. A fierce light flashed in Master Sky Rock's eyes, and a large amount of blood-colored fog surrounded him. The blood-colored fog gathered crazily and eventually formed a huge blood-colored vortex as Master Sky Rock pointed out. The blood-colored vortex immediately covered Jian Wushuang. For a moment the world changed color. The surrounding spectators, even someone as powerful as Taoist Shen God, had a drastic change in expression when they saw the blood-red vortex. As for the principal's masters, their hearts trembled. This power! Master, you used your full strength. Red-Eye Master exclaimed. A top-tier Tier 7 ultimate skill. This is the strongest continuation created by Master. 200 million years ago, in the depths of Crimson Rock Mountain, when Master was fighting for a supreme treasure with a top-tier ruler, I saw the ruler use it. In order to kill Blood Sword Master, Master actually used his strongest ultimate skill? Master Yunshin was also shocked. The most powerful skill created by Master Sky Rock was not something that could be used easily. Normally he would only use it when he was facing an opponent that was on par with him. But now he had used it. Perhaps it was because the previous 4 attacks were not fatal to Jian Wushuang. In order to be safe, Master Sky Rock had used his killer move with all his might in the last attack. It was not only for the supreme true treasure magic weapon, but also to protect his reputation. The Sky Roc Ruler would definitely not allow a principal's master to live for more than a breath in his hands. Feeling the power of the Sky Roc Ruler's final attack, the corners of Jian Wushuang's mouth curled up slightly. As expected, I finally used my full strength in the final attack. Unfortunately, it's too late. Jian Wushuang smiled coldly. At this juncture he finally stopped holding back. He had deliberately shown weakness in his previous 4 exchanges with the Sky Roc Ruler. The strength he had displayed could only be described as invincible among principal's masters, but it did not meet the standards of a ruler. But now, buzz. Jian Wushuang's divine power finally burst out completely. At the same time he immediately activated his life divine power and heaven cleaving skill, making his divine power 3 times stronger than that of an ordinary ruler. In addition, the Blood Demon Cave armor he was wearing was a top-grade supreme treasure armor. As Jian Wushuang's strength increased, he could now activate the 2nd level of power, which was 100 times the power of the pinnacle of the 6th realm. This made Jian Wushuang's divine power a little stronger. Let me see how powerful a top-grade ruler is. Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with excitement. The top-grade supreme treasure in his hand, the Cyan Spirit Divine Sword, also trembled slightly. In an instant, an extremely violent power rose up and a large area of flames swept over. It was as if it could burn the world. It was a 7th level advanced absolute art, Starfire Burning Sun. Whoosh! The sword light fell. The 3 people who had been watching the battle in the surrounding void, including Red-Eye Master, Master of Cloud Sinking and Shiyan Master, were all shocked when they saw Jian Wushuang's sword light. Chapter 36-29, Ruler? This sword, how is it possible? Red-Eye Master was in disbelief. The power of a ruler. This sword is definitely at the level of a ruler. It's even stronger than an ordinary ruler, Master Yunshin said. Has Blood Sword Master already broken through to become a ruler? Shiyan Master was also shocked. They were all Principal's Masters, so they could see that Jian Wushuang's sword was more powerful than that of a Principal's Master. It was definitely at the level of a ruler. But why had Blood Sword Master not shown his strength before? Instantly, the three Principal's Masters had a bad premonition, especially the Red Eye Master. Boom. The enormous blood-red vortex, with its incredible strangling power, finally collided with Jian Wushuang's sword light, which could burn everything in the world. Although Jian Wushuang had used all his strength, the power it released was barely comparable to that of an advanced ruler. However, he was facing the full-strength attack of the Sky Roc Ruler, so the final result was still that Jian Wushuang's sword light was mercilessly destroyed, and the blood-red vortex still enveloped Jian Wushuang. Then, the terrifying strangling power completely affected Jian Wushuang's body. What? Jian Wushuang only felt that his divine body was constantly being attacked by divine power. Even though the power of the Blood Demon Cave armor was greatly weakened and his divine body was comparable to an elementary universe supreme treasure, the impact of divine power at this level still reached the limit of his divine body and began to destroy his divine power. In the end, when the strangling power in the blood-red vortex was completely exhausted, Jian Wushuang's divine power was also depleted by a full 1%. Amazing. As expected of the Sky Roc Ruler. He actually used 1% of my divine power in one strike. Jian Wushuang could not help exclaiming in his heart. He was truly amazed. It must be known that before he made a breakthrough, his divine body, which was comparable to an elementary universe supreme treasure, could already make an ordinary elementary ruler or even an advanced ruler despair. For example, the Heaven Ancestor had tried, but his full-strength attack could only deplete 1 out of 10,000 of Jian Wushuang's divine power. This was because Jian Wushuang was just standing there and did not resist at all. But now he was using his full strength to resist. He had already unleashed his strongest move, which was to use Starfire Burning Sun to clash with the Sky Roc Ruler's finger, which had already weakened a lot of the power of the finger. However, the last finger had still depleted 1% of his divine power. In other words, the power of the Sky Roc Ruler's finger was hundreds of times stronger than that of the Heaven Ancestor. Of course, this was also because the Sky Roc Ruler had used his most powerful supreme treasure divine weapon, but even so, it was still very terrifying. If the Sky Roc Ruler can destroy 1% of my divine power in a head-on fight, then as long as he can find a way to stop me from escaping, I'm afraid there's a glimmer of hope that he can kill me. Jian Wushuang sighed inwardly. Jian Wushuang was amazed by the strength of the Sky Roc Ruler. However, the Sky Roc Ruler was overwhelmed with emotions. He's not dead. How could he survive my strongest attack? The Sky Roc Ruler's eyes were cold. Not only is he not dead, but his aura is well preserved. In other words, I didn't even manage to severely injure him. The Master Sky Roc could not accept this result at the moment. Master Sky Roc, the time for one breath is up. Thank you, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Master Sky Roc took a deep look at Jian Wushuang. After a while, he nodded and said, Blood Sword Master, it seems that I have indeed underestimated you. The people of this territory have also underestimated you. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Jian Wushuang just smiled awkwardly. This is what you want. Master Sky Roc waved his hand and threw an interspatial ring to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang took it and scanned it with his consciousness. He was immediately delighted. There was nothing else in the interspatial ring except a sword, a floating black magic sword that gave off a terrifying aura. Thank you, Master Sky Roc. Jian Wushuang immediately thanked him. Take your things and get lost. Master Sky Roc waved his sleeve and turned around. Jian Wushuang was not annoyed. He glanced at Taoist Shen God. Haha, Master Sky Roc, sorry to bother you. Taoist Shen God laughed heartily and immediately left with Jian Wushuang. After Jian Wushuang and Shen God left, Master Sky Roc's face immediately darkened. Yunshin, Master Sky Roc said. Master. Master Yunshin immediately walked over. Go to the Heavenjun Pavilion, Master Sky Roc said. Heavenjun Pavilion? Master Yunshin was stunned. The Heavenjun Pavilion was the department in the North Sea Palace that was responsible for collecting intelligence. In this territory, not only the 3 battlefields, but also the various forces in the astral world were all collected by the Heavenjun Pavilion. Go ask the Star Palace and the Blood Sword Master. Once you have done that, come back to me, Ruler Sky Roc said. Yes. Master Yunshin immediately turned and left. Patriarch, the Red Eye Master and Master Stone Hate were still standing there. They raised their heads and carefully glanced at Ruler Sky Rock, but when they saw the look on his face, they were so frightened that they did not dare to say anything else. They knew very well that the Sky Rock Ruler had lost all his face today. And the one who had caused all of this was the Blood Sword Master. After just half a day, Master Yunshin returned once again. Master, when I arrived at the Heaven June Pavilion, I asked for information about the Star Palace and the Blood Sword Master over the years. However, there was no problem. I immediately asked them to investigate carefully and asked someone to inquire. In the end, they quickly found out that a major incident had happened in the Star Palace a few days ago. Master Yunshin's voice was somewhat anxious. What's the matter? The Sky Rock Ruler asked. It's that Blood Sword Master. He caused a huge commotion in the Star Palace and even exploded with an incomparably terrifying divine might. That divine might even surpassed that of an ordinary ruler. The many principals masters who stayed in the Star Palace saw it with their own eyes. They all believed that this Blood Sword Master had already broken through to become a ruler. Even the Star Palace Master, Temporal Temple Master, and Heaven Ancestor, when they saw this Blood Sword Master, they immediately addressed him as the Blood Sword Master. Master Yunshin said, "What did you say?" Hearing Master Yunshin's words, Red Eye Master immediately exclaimed, "You said that Blood Sword Master has already broken through to become a ruler?" "That's right, and from the strength he just displayed, that is indeed a ruler realm battle strength," Master Yunshin said solemnly. "Bastard, he clearly has already broken through, yet he still disguised himself as a principal's master to gamble with the clan master and let the clan master kill him within a breath. This is clearly deceiving the clan head. Clan master, we cannot let this matter rest." Red Eye Master shouted sternly. Chapter 36:30. One must accept one's loss. Yes, deceiving a ruler is unforgivable, Shuryen Master said in a low voice. Clan leader, that Blood Sword Master is not far from my North Sea Palace. If we chase after him now, it will definitely be in time, Red Eye Master said. Shut up. Master Sky Rock finally spoke. Red Eye Master and Shuryen Master were so frightened that they did not dare to make a sound. Do you really think I'm that stupid? Master Sky Rock said in a low voice. Do you think I can't tell whether Blood Sword Master is a principal's master or a resident? Red Eye Master was stunned. Yes, Jin Wushuang had shown his strength in front of Master Sky Rock. If he was really a ruler, Master Sky Rock would have seen through him. But the truth was, the Sky Rock ruler had always thought that Jin Wushuang was only a principal's master. In this territory, no one can hide their true cultivation in front of me. Even if he really got a great opportunity and cultivated a special secret skill to hide his aura, once he shows his divine power, he will be exposed. However, the Blood Sword Master was a bone master from the beginning to the end. Therefore, we can be sure that the Blood Sword Master is only at the level of a principal's master. There is no dispute about that. As for the breakthrough he made in Star Palace not too long ago, it wasn't necessarily a breakthrough to become a ruler. It was a major breakthrough in other areas such as the laws or top-tier secret arts, which allowed him to instantly become comparable to rulers in terms of combat power, Ruler Sky Rock said. But the divine power he displayed during his breakthrough was at the ruler realm as well, Master Yunshin could not help but say. So what? The universe is vast and it is filled with all sorts of strange things. Even though he is only at the level of a principal's master, his godly power is comparable to that of a ruler. There are also some in this universe such as those special life forms who are blessed by nature. These special life forms have an astonishing innate advantage. The higher the level of the special life form, the greater the innate advantage. For ordinary cultivators, it is indeed inconceivable for principal's masters to possess the godly power of a ruler, but for special life forms, it is not impossible, Master Sky Rock said. Master, are you saying that the Blood Sword Master is also a special life form? Master Yunshin asked in surprise. The Blood Sword Master came from the Star Palace, and the origin of the Star Palace is the Divine Beginning Realm. I have some understanding of the Divine Beginning Realm, and I have seen a supreme character in the Divine Beginning Realm. If the Blood Sword Master is related to that supreme character, then everything can be explained, the Sky Rock Ruler said. He was extremely certain that there were some terrifying special life forms in the universe. At the level of a principal's master, their divine power was already comparable to a ruler's. That was because many years ago in the Quicksand Demon Realm, 3 heaven-suppressing monoliths were born. He had personally fought for one of them. However, his luck was not good and he was not able to obtain a single heaven-suppressing monolith. However, he could clearly see the process of that battle. There was one person who attracted the attention of others. That person was a principal's master. Although he was a principal's master, his strength was not inferior to an ordinary ruler. In fact, when he unleashed his full strength, he was much stronger than an ordinary low-level ruler. From the start, he was just like an ordinary principal's master, staying in the surrounding void. He did not participate in the battle until a perfect opportunity presented itself. He directly acted and suddenly unleashed his full strength, catching the other rulers off guard. He actually managed to obtain a heavenly suppression monument before escaping. During that battle, many rulers were ruthlessly tricked by that person. He, the Sky Roc Ruler, was one of them. Naturally, his memory was still fresh in his mind. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Later on, he also learned that that person came from the divine beginning realm. His name was Xianyi. Later on, although he did not meet Xianyi again, he heard some things about Xianyi. For example, after Xianyi refined the heaven-suppressing tablet, relying on the steel, actually can burst out the top of the Dominator's combat strength, but at that time in this area caused a sensation. Although later do not know exactly what reason this mystic one fell, but he created before those legends, but still. Therefore, with Xianyi's experience, he could accept that Jian Wushuang was only at the level of principal's master, but his battle strength was no less than that of an ordinary ruler. Regardless of the reason, regardless of whether Bloodsword Master had planned it in advance or not, he managed to survive for one breath in my hands despite being at the level of a principal's master. If he is willing to bet, he must admit defeat. Even I have nothing more to say, Sky Roc Ruler said. If he was willing to bet, he must admit defeat. As soon as he said these words, the surrounding Red-Eye Master, no matter how unwilling they were, could only be impatient. After all, the bet between Master Sky Roc and Jian Wushuang was a fact. It was also a fact that Jian Wushuang had won the bet. It would be a real disgrace if the mighty Master Sky Roc could not even accept his defeat. Listen up. Don't mention what happened today to anyone. Red-Eye, let's put an end to the grudge between you and Bloodsword Master. In the future, if it's not necessary, don't provoke Bloodsword Master. If you meet him in the 3 battlefields, avoid him immediately, just like when you meet other masters. Do you understand? Master Sky Roc looked down. Yes. Although the Red-Eye Master was still somewhat unwilling, he still nodded heavily. Master, are we really not going to pursue the matter today? Master Yunshin could not help but ask. How are we going to pursue it? Do you want me to personally take action and kill that Bloodsword Master? The Sky Roc Ruler glanced at Master Yunshin. Let's not talk about my status. If I were to recklessly pursue and kill a principal's master, it would cause all the experts to laugh at me. Most importantly, that Bloodsword Master isn't weak at all. In addition, his protective techniques are even more inconceivable. I've already used all my strength with my finger earlier, but in the end, his divine power wasn't depleted at all. In other words, even if I attack with all my strength, I won't be able to kill him. If that's the case, then why should I waste my strength and not gain any benefits? Also, there's another point. This Bloodsword Master is only at the level of a principal's master, and his battle prowess is already so tyrannical. If he breaks through to become a ruler one day, how strong will his strength be? I'm afraid that even I might not be his match at that time. It's better for the North Sea Palace not to provoke a person with such incredible potential unless it's necessary. Although Sky Roc Ruler was arrogant, he was not stupid. He was very sensible and knew his limits. He knew that he might not be able to do anything to Jian Wushuang. However, if Jian Wushuang grew up in the future, he might be able to do something to him. In that case, it was better for him not to provoke Jian Wushuang when there was no big enmity between them. Master Yunshin, Red-Eye Master, and Shiyan Master also nodded and quickly left. Chapter 36-31. Jian Wushuang and Daoist Shen God were flying side by side in the dark void of the universe. Haha, I just wanted to try my luck. I didn't expect it to work. Daoist Shen God beamed with joy. Shen God, your plan is very thoughtful and well matched with mine. Otherwise, the Sky Roc Ruler would never fall for it, Jian Wushuang said. My plan was stupid and easy to see through. The reason why I succeeded this time was because the Sky Roc Ruler was too confident, Daoist Shen God said with a smile. Then he sighed and said, I still can't calm down. The Sky Roc Ruler is a supreme ruler in this territory. He is a superior existence, but this time we have set him up. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang smiled. Yes, they had set the Sky Roc Ruler up from the beginning to the end. They made use of the Sky Roc Ruler's confidence and his arrogance. To be honest, Daoist Shen God's plan was very stupid. First, he would anger the Sky Roc Ruler and make the Sky Roc Ruler kill Jian Wushuang. Then Jian Wushuang would give the ruler a chance to kill him. In other words, it was a provocation. It was a very simple provocation that could be easily seen through. Master Sky Rock also saw through it at a glance. He could see that Jian Wushuang had deliberately said so many things to annoy him. His purpose was still for the Supreme Treasure Divine Sword. But even if he saw through it, Master Sky Rock could not refuse the bet. Jian Wushuang had indeed angered and offended him. As a superior ruler, his dignity and pressure were all there. If he did not get angry after being offended, then where was his dignity as a ruler? Therefore he had to make a move. At least, he had to teach Jian Wushuang a big lesson, not to mention killing him. At this time, Jian Wushuang had given him an opportunity to gamble, so he could only seize it. The most important point was that Sky Rock Ruler could see that Jian Wushuang was indeed just a principal's master. Out of absolute confidence in his own strength, he did not think that Jian Wushuang could really last a breath of time in his hands, so he agreed. But the final result was beyond Sky Rock Ruler's expectations. It could be said that this matter had been planned by Jian Wushuang and Taoist Shen God from the beginning to the end. The Sky Rock Ruler knew it was a plan, but he could only jump in. "My young friend, why don't you take out the sword that the Sky Rock Ruler gave you?" Taoist Shen God asked. Jian Wushuang smiled and flipped his hand. The black magic sword, which gave off a cold and heart-palpitating aura, appeared in his hand. As soon as the black magic sword appeared, a supreme treasure aura swept out, and the surrounding void seemed to immediately sink into an ice cave. "It's so strong and cold. This is the strongest attack supreme treasure." Taoist Shen God's eyes were shining. Indeed, compared to a pinnacle universe supreme treasure, this sword is much stronger. Jian Wushuang could not help exclaiming in surprise. Although he had not completely refined the sword and made it recognize him as its master, he could feel the supreme power contained in the sword just by holding it in his hand. Its power was much stronger than the Science Spirit Divine Sword he was using now. A Supreme Universe True Treasure seemed to be only one level away from a Pinnacle Universe True Treasure, but the difference was too great. A Pinnacle Universe True Treasure could usually be used by an ordinary ruler, but a Supreme Universe True Treasure, even a ruler, could hardly use all its power. That was the difference. "Hurry up and refine it," Taoist Shen God urged. Visit Readle.me for extra chapters. Jian Wushuang did not hesitate and immediately began to refine it. The process of refining was not easy. After all, a supreme treasure had a spirit, and the spirit of a top-tier universe supreme treasure was extremely arrogant. It was extremely difficult for ordinary cultivators, even rulers, to get its recognition and refine it. Jian Wushuang was only a principal's master. Therefore, when he first felt Jian Wushuang's cultivation, the spirit of the supreme treasure was very resistant to Jian Wushuang. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang had activated the origin of the Sword Principle Universe and truly stepped into the origin of the Sword Principle Universe. When he used the origin of the Sword Principle Universe, the resistance of the spirit of the Supreme Treasure was immediately eliminated. On the contrary, it became extremely excited. The subsequent refining process was extremely smooth. Soon Jian Wushuang completely refined the Divine Sword. After completely refining it, Jian Wushuang also learned the real name of the Divine Sword. It was called Netherworld. It meant the netherworld of hell, and it was an extremely cold-killing divine sword. At the same time, after Jian Wushuang communicated with the spirit of the divine sword, he learned that the reason why the spirit of the divine sword immediately changed its attitude after sensing the origin of the universe of Sword Principle was because the origin of the universe of Sword Principle was too high-end. It was difficult for ordinary rulers to master it, but Jian Wushuang was only at the level of Principle's master, which showed his talent in Sword Principle and his future achievements were bound to be limitless. Because of this, the spirit of the divine sword immediately changed its attitude and allowed Jian Wushuang to refine it. Netherworld Divine Sword. Jian Wushuang held the black divine sword in his right hand and felt the terrifying coldness contained in the sword. He was pleasantly surprised. The strongest universe supreme treasure is much stronger than a pinnacle universe supreme treasure. When I used the Science Spirit Divine Sword, my battle strength could barely match an advanced ruler. Now that I have this magic sword, my strength will definitely be at the advanced ruler realm. Even among the advanced rulers, I can be considered very strong. He knew very well that with a supreme true treasure godly weapon in hand, his offensive power would definitely rise to a new level. In addition to his incredible protective techniques, he could practically do whatever he wanted among senior rulers. After all, many rulers did not have supreme true treasures. Furthermore, the offensive godly swords of supreme true treasures would cause an even greater impact on those true treasure armors that were below the level of supreme true treasures. For example, if a supreme true treasure armor was attacked by a ruler, if the opponent's attack divine weapon was only a supreme true treasure, the armor could still reduce the power of the ruler's attack by about 90%. However, if the opponent was holding a Supreme True Treasure, it would be completely different. The attack of the Supreme True Treasure and the armor of the Supreme True Treasure level could only reduce the power of the armor by 80% at most. As for the Supreme True Treasure armor, few people in this territory had it. It could be said that Jian Wushuang's attack and defense were one. The only drawback was that the heaven-cleaving skill consumed too much divine power, so he could not use it recklessly. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 36-32. My young friend, it seems that you are very satisfied with this divine sword. Taoist Shen God looked at him. Yes, of course I am. Jian Wushuang smiled. What could he not be satisfied with? Although the Sky Roc Ruler gave me the Netherworld Divine Sword, he must be unwilling to accept it. After a little investigation he will probably find out what happened in Star Palace. By then he will know that we have set him up. Jian Wushuang smiled. That's right, but it doesn't matter. Master Sky Roc has lived for a long time. He's not a fool. He knows your potential and that he can't kill you. Therefore, even if he feels uncomfortable, he won't come to deal with you openly. Unless one day you die, he may come to deal with Star Palace. However, if you die, there's no point for Star Palace to exist, Taoist Shen God said. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly, but suddenly his expression changed. By the way, the North Sea Palace is in the east of this territory, and if I remember correctly, the Earth Saint Star seems to be nearby. Earth Saint Star? Why, are you going to the Earth Saint Star? Taoist Shen God asked. Previously, Jian Wushuang had asked Axe 1 Master for information about the Ice Heart Glazed Jade, but Taoist Shen God did not know about it. Earth Saint Star Master has a piece of Ice Heart Glazed Jade which is very important to me. However, when I asked Axe 1 to negotiate with him on behalf of Star Palace, he did not give Star Palace any face at all and casually dismissed Axe 1, Jian Wushuang said. If it's something in the hands of Earth Saint Star Master, and he refused decisively before, it won't be easy to get it from him again. Taoist Shen God narrowed his eyes. But I must get the Icy Heart Glazed Jade no matter what the price. Jian Wushuang's expression turned cold. Shen God, how strong is the Earth Saint Star Master? The Earth Saint Star Master is not very strong. He is considered average among the rulers, slightly weaker than the Heaven Ancestor. Moreover, the Heaven Ancestor obtained a supreme treasure by chance, but the Earth Saint Star Master doesn't have a supreme treasure, Taoist Shen God explained. However, no matter how weak he is still a real ruler. He has many tricks, strong life-saving abilities, and a weird and irritable personality. Therefore he has always been a ruler who is not easy to provoke. Take Star Palace as an example. If it's not necessary, we definitely don't want to provoke such a ruler. After all, a barefooted person is not afraid of wearing shoes. Earth Saint Star Master has nothing to worry about, and Star Palace is involved in many things. As long as we provoke him and can't kill him, he can attack our experts without any scruples. When that happens, our Star Palace will have a headache. Upon hearing this, Jian Wushuang's expression changed slightly. Taoist Shen God noticed the change in Jian Wushuang's expression and immediately changed the topic. My young friend, it's okay if you really need the Ice Heart Glazed Jade. It's just an Earth Saint Star Master. We can just kill him and force him to hand it over. Shen God, didn't you just say that the Earth Saint Star Master is not to be trifled with? Jian Wushuang looked over in puzzlement. Yes, previously, the Earth Saint Star Master was indeed not to be trifled with. Taoist Shen God smiled. Previously, although there were 4 rulers in Star Palace, the strongest Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master had been staying in the Divine Beginning Realm and could not escape at all. On the other hand, Spacetime, and the Heaven Ancestor are only primary rulers, and Spacetime is not good at fighting head-on. The Heaven Ancestor and I are not much stronger than the Earth Saint Star Master. Even if the 3 of us join hands, we can only force the Earth Saint Star Master into a very sorry state, but we cannot really threaten his life. Since his life isn't in danger, there's no need for him to be afraid of us. But now the Star Palace has one more ruler, and that's you. You have the most powerful attack True Treasure, and you're good at Sword Dao and killing Dao. If you attack, you'll be able to crush him by yourself. Plus, Spacetime and I will help him, making it impossible for him to escape. That will be enough to threaten his life. Although this Earth Saint Star Master is irritable and eccentric, he is a master who bullies the weak and fears the strong. As long as his life is not threatened, he will not give face to anyone. However, for the top forces in this territory such as the North Sea Palace and the 3 rulers of the North Sea Palace, the Sky Roc Ruler alone is enough to kill him. He will never dare to provoke such a force. As long as we can put enough pressure on him and make him feel that his life is in danger, he will have no choice but to bow his head. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. I see. Jian Wushuang smiled. In that case, let's go to the Earth Saint Star now and send a message to time and space to ask him to come as soon as possible. They'll send a message now. Taoist Shen God immediately sent the message, and the two of them immediately went to the Earth Saint Star. The Earth Saint Star was a very ordinary Earth star. It was not big, and its geographical location was not as good as the Earth star occupied by the major forces. However, because of its remote location, the Earth Saint Star Master had completely become the ruler of this territory. After occupying this place, he had completely become the ruler of this territory. He was basically an unruly existence around here. No one dared to provoke him, and his life was extremely comfortable. However, at this moment, in a dark void near the Earth Saint Star, Jian Wushuang, Taoist Shen God, and Temporal Temple Master were standing side by side. The Earth Saint Star is ahead. The Earth Saint Star Master hasn't been to the 3 battlefields for a long time. He should be in the Earth Saint Star now. Should we kill him directly? Taoist Shen God said. There's no rush. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. Let's go and meet the Saint Star Master first. If he changes his mind now and is willing to hand over the Ice Heart Glazed Jade or give it to us, it will save us a lot of trouble. If he is still as tough as before, it's not too late for us to attack him. How about this? They'll go to the Saint Star with Shen God. You stay in the void around the Saint Star and wait for my news. As long as we don't make a deal with the Saint Star Master, they'll send a message to you. Then you can directly seal the space around the Saint Star Master and not give him a chance to escape, Jian Wushuang said. Okay. Temporal Temple Master nodded. Shen God, let's go and meet Earth Saint Star Master. Jian Wushuang smiled and immediately rushed toward Earth Saint Star with Taoist Shen God. In the blink of an eye, they arrived in front of Earth Saint Star. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 36-33. Before they reached the Saint Star, several streams of light rushed out from the Saint Star and blocked Jian Wushuang. A cold voice sounded. These people were obviously the guards of the Saint Star. It was naturally impossible for the Earth Saint Star Master to be the only one on such a huge Earth Saint Star. In addition, there were also many cultivators who relied on him. They were all Principles Masters with different strengths. For example, these people in front of them were also Principles Masters, however, their strength was very ordinary. They were only at the 2nd or 3rd level of the void. However, even if their strength was weak because of the Earth Saint Star Master behind them, they were able to walk unhindered in the surrounding territories. As time passed, their mentality also changed and they became arrogant. Especially in such an occasion, when someone came to the Earth Saint Star, they would normally come to visit the Earth Saint Star Master. Therefore, their attitude became even colder and they even had a trace of arrogance. This was also the order of the Earth Saint Star Master. Whoever came to the Earth Saint Star would first show off their strength. But this time, it was obvious that they had raised an iron plate. Seeing the arrogant expressions of the people in front of him, Jian Wushuang could not help but smile. Taoist Shen God, who was next to him, snorted coldly. In an instant, his aura at the ruler realm swept out directly. It pressed down on the bodies of the Principles Masters. The Principles Masters were immediately suppressed to the point that they did not dare to breathe loudly. The arrogance on their faces disappeared in an instant. There was only fear. They immediately understood the identity of the person who had come, and they became even more afraid. Go and inform them that Star Palace Master, Shen God, and Blood Sword Master have come to pay a visit to Earth Saint Star Master, Shen God said. Star Palace Master? Blood Sword Master? The Principles Masters immediately looked at Jian Wushuang in shock. They were not very familiar with Shen God, but from his aura, they knew that he was a high and mighty ruler. He looked at Earth Saint Star Master behind them. However, Blood Sword Master was a well-known figure to them. As the strongest among the Principles Masters, Jian Wushuang was very famous in this territory, and the Principles Masters were full of admiration for him. He had defeated 5 experts of the pinnacle of the 6th realm by himself, which was enough to make countless Principles Masters look up to him. After knowing the identities of Jian Wushuang and Taoist Shen God, the Principles Masters immediately became respectful. One of them returned to the Earth Saint Star to report the news. Taoist Shen God was right. Earth Saint Star Master was indeed in the Earth Saint Star, and he was living a very leisurely life. In the center of a huge and beautiful manor, there was a high platform. On the high platform, there were many beautiful dancers dancing gracefully. These dancers were all captured from the star world around Earth Saint Star Master. They were all very weak and had not reached the level of the Principal's Master. They were only at the level of saints. However, in the Earth Saint Star, saints were no different from the Principal's Master. What these beauties had to do was to make the Earth Saint Star Master believe in them as much as possible. Around the high platform, there were 3 beautiful women who were wearing revealing clothes. 2 of them were serving them, and one of them was sitting on the Earth Saint Star Master's lap. The Earth Saint Star Master was drinking the fine wine and fruits that Meiji had handed over to him while moving his hands up and down on Meiji's lap. It was needless to say how much he enjoyed it. But at this time, the Principal's Master who had come in to report had arrived in the manor. He respectfully called out from a distance, "Star Master, Star Palace Master Shen God and Bloodsword Master have already arrived outside the star. They say that they're here to pay you a visit." Earth Saint Star Master's expression slightly moved, and the flush on his face slightly faded. He slowly stood up. He said, "I also know Star Palace Master. He is just a low-grade ruler." "Who is that Bloodsword Master?" "A Principal's Master. Do you want me to know about him?" "Star Master, that Bloodsword Master is now publicly acknowledged as the strongest Principal's Master in this territory. Not long ago in the depths of Devil's Smoke Valley, he single-handedly defeated 5 pinnacle of the 6 realm experts and even killed one of them. His name shook the world," the Principal's Master respectfully said. "Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters." "Oh." The Earth Saint Star Master raised his eyebrows, but then he sneered, "To be able to defeat 5 pinnacle of the 6 realm experts by himself? His strength is indeed not bad. But so what? He's still just a Principal's Master and ant. Tell them that I'm currently in high spirits and have no time to care about them. Tell them to scram." With that, the Earth Saint Star Master continued to lie down, enjoying the service of the surrounding beauties. As for the Principal's Master who had come in to report, his expression was bitter. He had been in the Earth Saint Star for many years and knew what kind of temper this Earth Saint Star Master had. However, the crux of the matter was that the one waiting outside was a ruler after all, and the strongest of the Principal's Master, directly asking the other party to scram. Even though the Earth Saint Star Master dared to say this, he might not dare to say it. "Listen, tell them exactly what I just said. If you say one wrong word, I'll cut you into pieces." The voice of the Principal's Master rang out again. "Yes, yes." The Principal's Master, who was still hesitating, immediately left the manor in fear. When he came to the outside of the Earth Saint Star and saw Daoist Shen God and Jian Wushuang, the Principal's Master felt bitter in his heart, but he still told them exactly what the Principal's Master had said. However, his tone was certainly not as tough as the Earth Saint Star Master's. "Guys, my Star Master said that he is in high spirits and has no time to care about you. He wants you to get lost." After saying that, the Principal's Master lowered his head in fear. He did not dare to look at Jian Wushuang and Daoist Shen God. However, he did not know that Jian Wushuang and Daoist Shen God did not get angry after hearing that. Instead, they smiled faintly. "Earth Saint Star Master is indeed as unreasonable as the rumors say." Daoist Shen God smiled. "At least there's a ruler visiting us now. It's fine if Earth Saint Star Master doesn't want to see us, but he wants to chase us away. Thanks. No wonder he doesn't have any good friends in this territory." Jian Wushuang also smiled. "If he doesn't want to see us, what should we do now?" Daoist Shen God asked. "There is a layer of formation in the Earth Saint Star, but it doesn't seem to be very strong. With our strength, it shouldn't be difficult to break it," Jian Wushuang said with a faint smile. "Since the Earth Saint Star Master doesn't want to see us, we can only force our way in." "Force our way in? Sure." Daoist Shen God smiled. Hearing the conversation between Jian Wushuang and Daoist Shen God, the Principal's Masters in front of them were frightened. "If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 36-34, Saint Star Master, My Lords. The Principal's Masters wanted to say something, but Jian Wushuang and Daoist Shen God had already made their moves. Boom. The earth-shaking aura of the ruler suddenly erupted and immediately caused the suppression of the array on Saint Star. However, the array on Saint Star was not too profound. It was not a problem to stop the Principal's Master, but it was not realistic to stop the ruler. Jian Wushuang did not make a move at all, but Daoist Shen God easily broke the array and the two of them directly entered the Earth Saint Star. Rumble. The array broke and the entire Earth Saint Star began to shake crazily. In the central manor of the Earth Saint Star, the dancing beauty stopped and scattered in fear. Earth Saint Star Master, who was on the exquisite bed, suddenly stood up, a fierce look flashed in his eyes. Haha, Saint Star Master, you really know how to enjoy yourself. Hearty laughter also rang out in the Saint Star. Taoist Shen God and Jian Wushuang, who were speaking, had also arrived in the void where the manor was. They both looked at Saint Star Master on the bed. This is Saint Star Shen God. You broke into the formation without my consent. It seems that you don't care about me at all. Saint Star Master's voice was cold. Humph, just you wait. You'll go to your Star Palace in a while. Haha, my Star Palace's base is there. You can go if you want to. But I don't know if you'll be able to come out again. Taoist Shen God was very relaxed. What a joke. Now that Jian Wushuang had joined the Star Palace, the battle strength of 4 rulers was there. In addition, Taoist Shen God had operated the Star Palace for so many years. The various arrays and techniques in the Star Palace, the Earth Saint Star could not compare to it. If the Earth Saint Star Master had recklessly run to the Star Palace, he was really confident that he could completely keep the Earth Saint Star Master. Earth Saint Star Master, we came here specially to visit you. We have no ill intentions, Jian Wushuang said. No ill intentions? What a joke. You directly broke through the formation and entered the Earth Saint Star. How dare you say you have no ill intentions? The Earth Saint Star Master sneered. And who are you? You're just a Principal's Master, but you can't even greet me. You're so disrespectful to me. I can kill you for that. Jian Wushuang was stunned. He had heard that Earth Saint Star Master had a strange temper and was very difficult to get along with. It seemed that he was right. Earth Saint Star Master, the Blood Sword Master beside me, has an extraordinary position in our Star Palace. He is no less than my Palace Master. You'd better be a little more polite to him, Taoist Shen God said coldly. Haha, I'm dying of laughter. How can I be so respectful to a mere immortal saint? Shen God, you've lived for so many years. Have you become a dog? Earth Saint Star Master laughed. Taoist Shen God's face turned cold. Jian Wushuang's eyes also turned cold. Since Earth Saint Star Master is so difficult to talk to, there's no need to be polite with him. Earth Saint Star Master, let me ask you, do you have the Ice Heart Glazed Jade? Ice Heart Glazed Jade? Earth Saint Star Master curled his lips. I guess that you're here for the Ice Heart Glazed Jade. Tens of thousands of years ago, someone from your Star Palace came to me to ask about the whereabouts of the Ice Heart Glazed Jade, but I sent him away. I didn't expect that he would come here in person. So, you have the Ice Heart Glazed Jade in your hand? Jian Wushuang asked. What does it have to do with you? Earth Saint Star Master sneered. And who do you think you are? How dare you speak to me in such a tone? I will discipline you on behalf of my realm today. With that, Earth Saint Star Master waved his hand. Instantly, a surge of majestic divine power gathered in the fat void around Jian Wushuang and formed a huge palm that flapped toward Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's face darkened. Humph! Taoist Shen God snorted. Similarly, a surge of divine power swept over the huge palm, which immediately began to collapse inch by inch. Blood Sword, there's no need to waste words with him. Just attack. Earth Saint Star Master is a typical bully. He won't be honest until he suffers a little, Taoist Shen God said. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly and the Cyan Spirit Divine Sword appeared in his hand. What, do you want to fight? Earth Saint Star Master looked disdainful. Shen God, it's not that I look down on you. What can you do to me by yourself? You can't do anything to me. Although I can't do anything to you, I can do something to those people in your Star Palace. Just you wait. I won't let today go. Earth Saint Star Master, you've misunderstood. Your opponent this time is not me but him. Taoist Shen God pointed at Jian Wushuang with a playful smile. Him? Earth Saint Star Master looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise, then burst into laughter. Ha, he's just a Principal's Master. Do you expect him to fight with me? Shen God, have you been kicked in the head by a donkey? Humph, laugh. You'll cry later. Shen God sneered in his heart. Jian Wushuang directly attacked. Whoosh! His figure flashed and floated forward like a ghost. A cold killing intent had completely locked onto Saint Star Master. You're courting death. Saint Star Master's eyes also flashed with killing intent. He directly swung his palm toward Jian Wushuang. An expert at the ruler realm could shake the world with a single move. It seemed like a simple slap, but the divine power contained in it was enough to easily crush an expert at the pinnacle of the sixth realm. Unfortunately, he met Jian Wushuang, the only Principal's Master in this territory. The moment the Earth Saint Star Master slapped his palm, Jian Wushuang also struck out. Bus. A cold scarlet sword light with a suffocating brutal aura slashed out, like an angry ancient ferocious beast that had completely exploded. The Peerless Sword Manual Xixiang. It must be known that during the 100,000 years in that special space, he had made an incredible breakthrough in swordsmanship. His strongest skill, Starfire Burning Sun, was already an advanced level 7 skill, while the other swordsmanship, for example, most of the swordsmanship in the Wushuang Sword Manual had been upgraded to the level of a level 7 skill. For example, this move by Xixiang was an absolute skill at the level of a rank 7 ruler. At this moment, Jian Wushuang did not conceal his strength too much. He used all his strength to burst out the power of a ruler. Chapter 36-35, Advanced Ruler. Crush. The void of the Saint Star was mercilessly torn apart. The extremely violent sword light struck the palm and instantly cut it open. However, the sword light did not completely disappear. It still carried extremely powerful power and slashed toward the Saint Star Master behind him. What? Saint Star Master was shocked. He never expected that Jian Wushuang's sword would be so powerful that it could even defeat his attack. However, he was an expert at the ruler realm after all. In the face of this sudden change, he could still deal with it calmly. He took a step back and a golden red hammer appeared in his hand. He casually smashed the hammer into the void. However, ripples began to spread out crazily. When the ripples reached the sword light, the power of the sword light was weakened to the extreme. In the end, the sword light completely disappeared. Earth Saint Star Master regained his balance and looked at Jian Wushuang again. However, there was no longer the mockery and disdain in his eyes. Instead, there was a more serious look. The battle strength of a ruler? You have already broken through to become a ruler? No wonder you were able to defeat 5 masters of the 6th realm in Devil Smoke Valley. Humph, it turns out that you deliberately concealed your aura, Saint Star Master snorted. He thought that Jian Wushuang had long broken through to become a ruler, but he had concealed his aura. Therefore, when he was in Devil Smoke Valley, Jian Wushuang was able to defeat many Principles Masters with his battle strength of a ruler. However, he did not know that when Jian Wushuang was in Devil Smoke Valley, he did not have the battle strength of a ruler. Instead, he waited for his return to Star Palace and entered closed-door cultivation for 3,000 years to make a breakthrough. However, even if he made a breakthrough, his battle strength was only at the ruler realm, his true realm was only that of a Principles Master. However, the Earth Saint Star Master was not as confident as the Sky Roc Ruler. The Sky Roc Ruler was powerful and had a high vision. He was confident that no one in this territory could hide his aura from him. Therefore, he was very sure that Jian Wushuang was only a Principles Master. However, the Earth Saint Star Master did not dare to think so. He thought that Jian Wushuang had made a breakthrough and only used a secret skill to hide his aura, so he did not see through it. Earth Saint Star Master, I just told you that your opponent is him, Taoist Shen God sneered. Humph, so what if the Blood Sword Master has made a breakthrough and become a ruler? He still can't do anything to me, the Earth Saint Star Master snorted. Really? Jian Wushuang curled his lips and attacked again. Whoosh. The sword light, with a hatred that would not rest until death, charged toward Saint Star Master. It was a rank 7 absolute art that would not rest until death. Boy, do you really think I'm afraid of you? Saint Star Master was not afraid at all. He held a golden red sledgehammer in each hand. The 2 golden red sledgehammers emitted a monstrous power and continuously smashed out. They collided with Jian Wushuang crazily. Clang, 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 clang. A series of low collision sounds could be heard. Each collision produced a huge boom in power, causing the surrounding void and the earth to tremble crazily. The entire Saint Star was on the verge of collapse. In the blink of an eye, Jian Wushuang and Saint Star Master had collided dozens of times. The two could be said to be evenly matched. Jian Wushuang had barely gained the upper hand with his various sword skills, but it was only a slight advantage. Haha, I said that you, a newly made ruler, can't do anything to me. Even if you join forces with the Shen God, I won't be afraid. If you two have the ability, kill me today. Otherwise, after today, I will launch a crazy revenge on your Star Palace. Unless the experts of your Star Palace are hiding in their nest, I will kill every single one of them until all the experts of your Star Palace are killed. Ha! Earth Saint Star Master laughed with a hint of madness in his voice. He was an extremely crazy person. His craziness, unbridled recklessness, and terrifying killing were well known in this territory. Because of this, few people in this territory dared to provoke him. However, Jian Wushuang and Taoist Shen God had offended him by coming to kill him. With his character and style, he would certainly take revenge crazily. Seeing how crazy the Earth Saint Star Master was, Taoist Shen God narrowed his eyes slightly. As for Jian Wushuang, his eyes turned cold. If you want to take revenge on Star Palace, it depends on whether you can survive today. As soon as he finished his words, Jian Wushuang's body suddenly shook. He activated his life divine power and heaven-cleaving skill. Once these two secret skills were used, especially the heaven-cleaving skill, Jian Wushuang's divine power instantly doubled. It was his original power, which was 3 times the power of a ruler. When the power exploded, Jian Wushuang also attacked. Boom! The void shook and a huge sword shadow swept up. In an instant, it turned into a burning flame with unparalleled terrifying power and directly covered the Earth Saint Star Master in front of him. It was an advanced level 7 skill, the strongest skill created by Jian Wushuang, Starfire Burning Sun. This sword move was awe-inspiring. The most important thing was the terrifying explosive power hidden in the swordsmanship. Saint Star Master seemed to have noticed that Jian Wushuang's sword move was extraordinary. At this moment, he also used all his strength to swing the 2 red gold hammers in his hands at the sword light. At first, the power of the two seemed to be too far apart. It was not until the sword light that was burning with raging flames collided with the hammers. Boom! It was as if a volcano that had been silent for many years suddenly erupted. The power of the sword shadow completely exploded. The power was completely beyond the imagination of the Saint Star Master. Impossible. The Saint Star Master's face changed dramatically, and his eyes were wide open. He could clearly sense the terrifying power of the sword shadow. The power crushed him, and the 2 hammers in his hands changed directions. Then the sky was filled with flames and sword light. It was mercilessly devouring his godly body. Oh! Even with the protection of his supreme true treasure armor, Earth Saint Star Master was still in a terrible state. He was forced back and it took him a long time to stop. When he raised his head again, blood oozed out of the corner of Saint Star Master's mouth. His aura was obviously weaker than before. Advanced Ruler. You have the battle strength of an advanced ruler. Saint Star Master stared at Jian Wushuang in disbelief. However, Jian Wushuang flipped his hand slightly and a black magic sword suddenly appeared in his hand. Seeing the black magic sword, Saint Star Master could no longer calm down. Chapter 36:36. Bullying the weak and fearing the strong, the most powerful supreme treasure divine sword. Earth Saint Star Master's heart was already surging with waves. He did not even have a supreme treasure in his hand, but now Jian Wushuang took out a sword-type divine weapon that was just right for him to use. At this moment, the pressure on Earth Saint Star Master increased sharply. Saint Star Master, you should know very well that just now, I only used a supreme true treasure magic weapon to hurt you, and if I used the supreme true treasure magic sword, it would be enough to kill you, Jian Wushuang said coldly. Upon hearing this, no matter how reluctant Saint Star Master was, he had to admit that Jian Wushuang was telling the truth. Jian Wushuang had clearly displayed the battle strength of an advanced ruler. An advanced ruler was already a threat to him, but if this advanced ruler had another supreme true treasure magic weapon that was just right for him, his attack power would skyrocket, and he would become an extremely terrifying existence in terms of killing. To him, it was indeed a threat that could threaten his life. However, even though he knew this, Earth Saint Star Master did not intend to bow his head so quickly. Blood Sword Master, so what if you're stronger than me? You can kill me and I can escape. You still can't do anything to me, Earth Saint Star Master said. Upon hearing this, Jian Wushuang and Taoist Shen God both laughed. Earth Saint Star Master really won't shed a tear until he sees his coffin, Taoist Shen God sneered. Earth Saint Star Master, do you really think that we're completely unprepared? Jian Wushuang also smiled coldly. At the same time, he had already sent a message to the Temporal Temple Master in the outside world. Suddenly, a vast power of time and space exploded, covering the entire Earth Saint Star Master in the blink of an eye. A powerful space-time pressure directly pressed down on Saint Star Master. This is space-time lockdown? He actually used space-time lockdown in the universe void. How high is the use of space-time principle? Saint Star Master's expression changed drastically. Space-time lockdown was a relatively simple way to use space-time. One had to know that it was very easy to use space-time lockdown in an ordinary astral world, but in the universe void, it was much more difficult to use space-time lockdown than in an astral world. Under normal circumstances, even a ruler who was good at the space-time rule would find it difficult to use the space-time seal in the universe void, but now, as expected of the Temporal Temple Master, he can use such a large space-time seal in the universe void. His use of the space-time principles is superb. Jian Wushuang was secretly amazed. Of course, he knew that the Temporal Temple Master must have used a space-time supreme treasure to use the space-time seal, but even so, it was still amazing. Earth Saint Star Master, I'm afraid you don't know that I'm not the only ruler in Star Palace. There are 3 of them. The one who cast the time-space seal is another ruler in Star Palace who specializes in space-time principles. Now, do you still think you can escape from us? Taoist Shen God sneered. Earth Saint Star Master's face had completely darkened. With Jian Wushuang's strength and the supreme treasure divine sword in hand, he did not dare to confront him head-on. After all, if he were to fight Jian Wushuang head-on with his strength, he could kill him as long as he had time. However, the surrounding space and time had been completely sealed, and with Xian Yi and Temporal Temple Master, he had no chance to escape. Knowing this, the Saint Star Master was terrified. Saint Star Master, hand over the ice heart glazed jade or else. Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with killing intent. Blood Sword Master, Saint Star Master said, but his tone and attitude had completely changed. Previously, when he faced Jian Wushuang, he was high and mighty, and his face was full of disdain for Jian Wushuang, the principal's master. Even after Jian Wushuang revealed his battle strength as a ruler and made him restrain his disdain, his words and actions were still extremely arrogant. But now, the Saint Star Master revealed an extremely hypocritical smile. Sure enough, just like what Shen God said, the Saint Star Master is a bully. Jian Wushuang observed the change in the Saint Star Master's expression and could not help but reveal a trace of ridicule. Sword Master, it's not that I don't want to hand over the ice heart glazed jade, but I really don't have it. Earth Saint Star Master said bitterly. You don't have it? Jian Wushuang's expression turned cold. You're still lying. It seems that you really think you've lived for too long. As soon as he finished his words, Jian Wushuang swung his sword toward Earth Saint Star Master with one hand. Jian Wushuang had also activated his life divine power and heaven-cleaving skill, displaying the power of an advanced ruler. Most importantly, he had used the Netherworld divine sword. The pitch-black sword light mercilessly cut through the void and silently appeared in front of the Saint Star Master. The Saint Star Master was shocked and immediately brandished his sledgehammer to block the attack. However, he was immediately sent flying and his body began to tremble violently. His aura was instantly depleted. It's too powerful. His swordsmanship is too powerful. I blocked the attack head-on, but the power of the attack still reached my body and destroyed a lot of my divine power. If I couldn't block this attack, the power of his attack would be enough to destroy 30% of my divine power. 4 strikes would be enough to kill me. Earth Saint Star Master was scared half to death. When he saw that Jian Wushuang was going to attack again, he immediately roared, Sword Master, stop. I'll tell you where the ice heart glazed jade is. Jian Wushuang stopped what he was doing and stared at Earth Saint Star Master. Hand it over. Sword Master, I don't have the ice heart glazed jade now. I can swear on the universe origin principles, Earth Saint Star Master said in a deep voice. Jian Wushuang's expression changed slightly. The universe origin principles was the supreme principles in the universe, which maintained the normal operation of the universe. The universe origin principles was supreme and followed the truth of the great Tao. Under normal circumstances, no one dared to violate the oath made to the universe origin principles. Even some powerful rulers, even some supreme beings did not dare to violate it. Since the Earth Saint Star Master dared to swear to the universe origin principles, he most likely did not have the ice heart glazed jade. Impossible. My Star Palace has investigated clearly. There are 3 pieces of ice heart glazed jade in this territory. One of them was destroyed and the other one was used first. And the last one was obtained by luck. Is there anything wrong with that? Jian Wushuang said coldly. Chapter 36-37. The first is more. Di Xingxing Lord, what is going on here? Jian Wushuang asked with a frown. The Lord of the Blood Sword, I have just said that the Bingxing glazed jade has indeed been used by me. As for the purpose, I use Bingxing glazed jade to create a glazed avatar for me. Di Xingxing Lord replied. The glazed avatar? The 2-sided sword is a bit ugly. The cause of this incident was that when I was wandering in the depths of Red Rock Mountain, I accidentally broke into a land of opportunity, where I got an incomparably special secret technique, which can create a state of self in oneself. The avatar with a completely equivalent strength can even have his own consciousness, and he can go out and take risks on his own, which is really too much for me, said the Lord of the Earth. After all, the 3 major battlefields are too dangerous in many places. Even if they are the masters, they will run on thin ice in those dangerous places, and they will disappear forever if they are inadvertent. Because of this, in many places, I know that there are many opportunities there. But still afraid to venture just because of fear of death, but if there is a clone with the same strength as me, it will be completely different. As long as I have this avatar, my deity can choose to stay on the holy star in this place all the time. The enjoyment should not be lawless, and my avatar can go to the 3 battlefields according to my will. Go to adventure and adventure in the dangerous place. Even if it falls down on the way, what is lost is just a clone. Because of this, I was very surprised when I got this mystery, and immediately began to think of ways to create such an avatar. However, although this occult mystery is good, the threshold for cultivation is very high. And there are so many treasures that are needed to shape the avatar, and it is too rare. I did not collect them at all. Until then, I got a piece of ice heart glass jade. The Bingxin glazed jade can shape the body of the glazed body. This glazed body is extremely intoxicant. It was extremely amazing. At that time, I thought whether I could use the glazed body shaped by the Bingli glass jade to replace my avatar. And when I tried, it really made me successful, so there is this Wuxia who you see now dominates. After finishing speaking, the Lord of the Earth God was silent. And Jian Wushuang and Xian Shinto were silent. They have all understood what happened. The sacred star master of this place did get a piece of Bingxin glazed jade, but this Bingxin glazed jade was used by him to shape the glazed avatar, which is the master of Wuxia. This Wuxia Lord is the product of Bingxin glazed jade. After the success of the glazed avatar, the deity of the Lord of the Earth has remained on the celestial star. Run through the 3 battlefields, take risks for him, search for opportunities and treasures. No wonder the Wu Qingzhe had no fame before his rise, and no one could trace his origins. It turned out that he was just an avatar of the Lord of the Stars. No wonder he has been sitting on the star of this place for years without worry. His original clone has been taking risks outside. This avatar Wu Qingzhu's is a glazed body. The breath on his body is very different from the Divine Star Lord's deity. He has never taken the initiative to reveal the origin of the soul. Naturally, for so many years, no one has them, the two are linked together. The Xian Shinto man's face paled, but his gaze could not help looking at Jian Wushuang. At this look, he immediately found that Jian Wushuang's complexion had become extremely ugly, and there was a trace of anger in the eyebrows. Irritated, of course, swordsman. He finally learned that there is a piece of Bingxin glazed jade in the hand of the Lord of the Stars. This piece of glazed jade represents a great hope to him and is of vital importance. For this reason, he did not hesitate to personally kill this holy star. But in the end, he did not expect that the Lord of the Stars used the ice-hearted glazed jade many years ago to create a glazed avatar. If it is used, it will be used, but no one outside knows about it, which made him look forward to coming here with great hope. But in the end it is such a result, how can he not be angry? Luli Avatar? Di Xingxing Lord, you are very good, very good. Jian Wushuang's voice was extremely cold. Hearing this, the Lord of the Divine Stars was guilty, and he could see that Jian Wushuang was extremely eager for that Bingxin Liuli, and now this result is obviously unacceptable to Jian Wushuang. The Lord of the Blood Sword, I can't help it. I have too many strong people in this territory. Many people will not hesitate to fight against me if they catch the opportunity, so I will be cautious everywhere. Like this glazed avatar, although I have shaped it, I haven't mentioned it to anyone. This is also to conceal my whole card, but I didn't expect to attract the Lord of the Blood Sword to you. Sorry. The Divine Star Lord can only repay his sins. But in fact he didn't need to pay for it. After all, everyone is the same. He used a trick to deal with the cards, almost all of which are hidden and easily not exposed. The Lord of the Stars used Bingxin glazed jade to create a glazed avatar with the same strength as the deity. Will be swaggered, this time if it was for Jian Wushuang to kill him, he had no choice but to expose the incident in front of the sword. From the perspective of the Lord of the Earth God it is true, but from the perspective of Jian Wushuang he is full of expectations, but he is so disappointed to leave, it is inevitable that he will be annoyed, and so annoyed unwilling to follow, of course he wants to vent on the Earth Lord. Di Xingxing Lord, you have shaped the glazed avatar with Bingxin glazed jade, this is your freedom and I will not blame you for this, but you did not speak badly to me before and you directly shot to kill me. How should this be counted? Jian Wushuang glanced coldly at the Lord of the Earth. This. The Lord of the Divine Stars looked bitter and even said, the Lord of the Blood Sword, I didn't know before that you had broken through and become the Lord. If I knew you were the Lord, I would not dare offend. Fortunately I am the Master. If I were not the Master, wouldn't it have been insulted by you in vain or even killed by you? Jian Wushuang said coldly. The Lord of the Blood Sword. Less nonsense, hand over 3 top-level and high-level magic soldiers, and stop here today, otherwise, even if your avatar Wu Qingzhuo has arrived, I have the confidence to kill you. Do you believe it? Jian Wushuang stared at the Lord of the Earth. To read this site, please use the latest domain name. Chapter 3638. Second more. Letter, of course I believe. Di Xingxing has no doubt about Jian Wushuang's strength. Even though his avatar has arrived and he has some cards in his hands, there are also two master-class powerhouses of Shen Shinto and the Lord of Time and Space around Jian Wushuang. He is really not sure that he can retreat. Then he can only bow his head. The Lord of the Blood Sword, I used to speak well and I should plead guilty to you, but aren't there too many of these three peaks? The Divine Star Lord bitterly said. Pinnacle Arcade is also extremely important to the master. After all, many masters do not have the strongest arbor, and they all use Pinnacle Arcade. And the three peak treasures proposed by Jian Wushuang, even though they are just ordinary attacks on the magic treasures, but the value is also extraordinary for any elementary master, it is enough pain. Oh. Jian Wushuang sneered at the Lord of the Earth. Di Xingxing Lord, your mighty dominating powerhouse, the three top peaks are all worthless to you? What's more, your avatar Wu Qingzhu has been in many dangerous places in the three battlefields these years, the chances of getting the precious treasures are not in the minority, right? Xian Shinto sneered beside. Okay, 3 peaks he'll give you. Di Xingxing sighed lightly, but I also have a condition that is about my glazed avatar. I hope the 3 who are present today can keep it secret for me. After all, this glazed avatar is extremely important to me. Jian Wushuang glanced at Xian Shinto and nodded. Seeing the sword, Wushuang agreed. The Lord of the Earth Star immediately waved his hand and threw a Chengkuan ring. 3 peaks and treasures are all within this ring, a sword-like sword, a sword, and finally a handle is a long stick. Lord of the Blood Sword, look at it. Jian Wushuang took the Chengkuan ring, glanced at it, and nodded slightly. Earth Lord, see that you have a good faith. Let's stop here today, but you will still act a little better. Don't be too, I think him right, especially in the face of the practitioners of Her Majesty's palace. More or less I pay attention to my identity and politeness. Sure. The Lord of the Earth Star nodded again and smiled. Jian Wushuang glanced at the Shen Shinto man, and then the two turned and left. The Lord of Space and Time outside the Earth Holy Star also stopped the blockade of this space and time, and soon the 3 disappeared into the sight of the Earth Holy Star. After seeing Jian Wushuang's 3 people leaving completely, the Lord of the Earth Saints exhaled heavily. The glazed avatar of the Divine Star Lord Wu Qingzhu appears next to him. The Lord of the Blood Sword is so good. Wu Qing ruled. It is very powerful. Just breaking through the domination, the combat power far surpassed me, and even reached the level of higher domination. The most important thing is that he has another strongest precious sword in his hand, which is enough to give me great pressure. Earth Holy Road. If you are willing to show your last move, the Lord of the Blood Sword will not only fail you, but may even leave your life here. Wu Qing dominated. No. The Lord of the Earth Star waved without hesitation. My last move was obtained with great effort and hard work. Once I use it, there is no chance for a second show. This is my strongest. The whole card is also a last resort. Unless it's time for real life and death, it must not be played. Di Xingxing Lord, anyway, is also a long-established Lord-level powerhouse, and his luck has been good. First, he got the special avatar, then he got the Ice Heart Glass Jade, and on other treasures and cards, he also got a chance once and got the strongest whole card. This strongest whole card is his biggest capital, but this whole card can only be cast once. After it is used, it is gone. That card is so important to me, and although the Lord of the Blood Swords has repeatedly persecuted me, it has finally not pushed me to the extreme and has not forced me to desperately, it just made me pay the price of 3 peak treasures. 3 peaks of the highest treasure, anyway, I do and need it myself, just give it to him. The Lord of the Earth God thought very clearly. Unless Jian Wushuang is really determined to kill him, or the conditions proposed make him completely unacceptable. Otherwise, as long as it doesn't exceed his bottom line, he will promise Jian Wushuang. These 3 peaks are clearly not exceeding his bottom line. In the final analysis, it is still my own strength that is too weak. The key is that after so many years of struggle, there is not even a suitable strongest treasure. Otherwise, I will not be so embarrassed when facing the Lord of the Blood Sword. Holy Lord sighed. The strongest treasure, not easy to get it. Wu Qing dominated. I know, so you have to work harder to figure out a way. Di Xingxing said. I see. Wu Qing dominated the focus. The 2 of them, obviously one is the deity and the other are separate, but they talk to each other as if they were 2 people. This is the peculiarity of the Earth's sacred master getting the secret of the avatar. Obviously it is the avatar but has its own independent consciousness, but it only acts in accordance with the will of the deity. As the 3 swordsmen left, the star of the place calmed down quickly. In the cosmic void, the three swordsmen, the mysterious god, and the master of space and time are running in parallel. Jian Wushuang's complexion is still a bit unsightly. After all, during this trip to the Earth Saint Star, the Bingxin glazed jade he wanted most was not obtained, and without Bingxin glazed jade, he could not shape the body of his glass for his wife, so that his wife could fully wake come. I did not expect that the Lord of the Stars had already formed a glazed avatar with Bingxin glazed jade, and let us run for nothing. Xian Shindao sighed there. It's not a white run after all, I also got 3 peak treasures. This is also true. Mysterious Shinto nodded slightly but then looked at Chaos Ho Wushuang. Tianho Xiaoyu, don't think too much about it, you do NT get this ice heart glass jade of the Lord of the Earth, but it does NT mean that you NT be able to get Bingxin glass jade in the future. After all, in this territory where we are, there are too many opportunities in the 3 major battlefields. It is not guaranteed that when Bingxin glass jade will be born, or is there another treasure that can be replaced? Well, I know. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly and he didn't know too much. Mysterious Shinto people are right, Bingxin Liuyu will still have a chance to get it. What's more, he is not the only one who can make his wife awaken physically. This cold and snowy life is still good. As long as the coldness of snow is found, his wife's physical body has the same sense. End of this chapter. Please use the latest domain name to read this site that you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.